trash.
Boom 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 boom
Okay, I quit. Okay.
Wiener, floppy wiener, floppy wiener.
Okay, so we're going to try something different here. Welcome to another episode of the We Speak English Good podcast. We're going to do a Game of Thrones. I guess the season finale or the series finale breakdown, kind of, and sort of like you know what? I just got too enthralled this season, and I know there's a lot of hatred going around on the internet. And maybe even
haters be hating.
Maybe even in this little small circle, the small council here. With us we have
At Castle Black.
At Castle Black. Hey,
all right,
Castle
Black.
You're
at
at
Castle Black. Jason Black with us here.
Hello.
And Zak Hutner.
Hello.
All of us are fans to varying extents. Zak actually, his dad is best friends with George R. R. Martin. So we have
railroad.
royalty here. We have royalty here.
Old railroad.
Old railroad here.
Not even.
No, Zak's dad
Smoked weed with Railroad in the 70s and now knows him afterwards. I think that's how science fiction went. My dad will probably listen to this.
He's a deadhead, right?
Yeah.
George R. Martin's a big old deadhead.
R. Martin's a deadhead.
It makes sense.
He liked Emerson, Lake, and
I mean, there
Palmer
are a lot of
apparently
like dead
too.
references throughout the show.
Is
too,
there?
If you watch like about the wolves and the
What about the wolves?
I don't know. I'd have to like.
Oh, we have to go back and look.
We'd have to go back and look at it, but there are a lot of Grateful Dead references throughout the
God,
books and the
it's
show.
There's a lot of references, and what I love about how expansive this whole world is just fucking, just how deep it goes, and like, and the amount of people who sort of put their own spin and like it's like Star Wars or like fucking Christianity. It's sort of taking on a life of its own, and sort of people are taking it like fan fiction. I just love how expansive the world is, and to think that one guy kind of sits there and fucking just gets high and listens to the dead and just starts writing about dragons and zombies and shit. It's amazing. So, yeah, anyways, so we're going to do something different here with Zak and Jason and myself. We're just going to talk about the episode, and I'm going to sort of kind of do a scene-by-scene breakdown, kind of, not really. We'll see how long this all takes, and I'm going to look at the time so we can kind of keep track and not go too crazy, because I'm not trying to turn this into like a 4-hour podcast, because I'm sure we could talk about it all night.
Forever.
But who gives a fuck about that? So let's just start with we're talking about the series finale and the opening scene where Jon and Davos and Tyrion are sort of walking through the rubble of the aftermath of Daenerys coming through and just wiping out all of King's Landing. First of all, what did you guys think of that reaction? Were you guys suspecting that, or did it kind of throw you guys off guard that Daenerys was going to sort of fucking just light up the whole city?
I thought it was gonna be crazy, like the whole like taking of King's Landing and everything. I thought it was gonna be absolutely nuts. I didn't think she'd go all like, just crazy bitch.
Yeah,
just, like,
Mad Queen.
decide to kill everyone. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't think that was gonna happen, but I gotta say I was pretty disappointed with that like whole taking and everything, because the Battle of the Bastards from earlier was so much better television, and they spent like way more money on like the CGI and everything, when I think it would have been way more impressive if they're just like Battle of the Bastards style.
Yeah.
Let's throw 100,000 dudes at each other. Like, that's crazy. They had
right.
I don't know. That's just
but they
my
had to use
personal
the
thing.
dragon somehow.
I mean,
guess.
the reality is they've been building up to this happening since the very beginning. And, if you go back through and kind of watch, she's always been bloodthirsty and hungry.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And she's always had a power trip. And I think you know, about who she is, and you know, and I think that kind of comes from, you know, her brother probably from the very beginning.
He was abusive. Yeah,
he's very abusive, and
she grew up. Not usurper. She grew up basically exiled. And running from Robert Baratheon because he was trying to kill out the rest of the Targaryens.
Basically sold off to the Dothraki.
She was a sex slave by her brother until that's what she was.
Yeah.
He was just like bartering her around. Like, well,
that's right.
Maybe you can fuck my sister if you help me out.
It was definitely an arranged marriage, you know.
Right. So she had a really fucked up life, and she has a rich history of violence. She has a rich history, I'm reading Fire and Blood right now, so I'm like super into nerd mode right now, and with the history of the Targaryens. So there's a huge history of just fire and blood and all of that shit. So, Jason, you made a great point where, like, throughout the whole series, she's wanted to do nothing but, like, burn cities.
Yeah.
She burned the slavers at Slavers Bay, like, you know, like all the things that she's wanted to do, but always had Consul to sort of like talk her out of. And you're right on that aspect. But what did you think? What did you think of how it went down?
I mean, you know, I think it was very indicative, you know, having those characters who've kind of been a voice of reason, you know, throughout this entire show, you know, Tyrion especially, you know, I think he's definitely, you know, become one of probably all of our favorite characters throughout it.
Half man.
You know, and him being, you know, a clever man or whatever, and knowing that the battle was over and she still did what she did. So she made it very personal, and then for her to come out and give that speech,
which was amazing,
which was crazy.
Right. Well,
first off, I mean, how did anybody in the back hear that speech?
Yeah,
really, like,
I don't know.
That's the first thing I said. Wait. Nobody can hear it. I can hear you, but nobody else can.
Where did all those fucking Unsullied come from? Like, I thought they were all demolished. Most of them were like a lot of her forces. I thought were taken down.
They say they still had
and
like
the
10,000 people at the end of that,
what?
right? They said something crazy at the end of it, like you guys have 11,000, we have 11,000.
So they just regenerated.
I think they started like roughly with 100,000. That was
like
the theory.
So they had like a huge army at first.
Well, yeah, if you go back to season 1, where Robert Baratheon's sitting with Ned Stark, they're sitting around the Trident, where I guess that's the spot where Robert Baratheon won the war.
Yeah,
that's where he took the crown.
He killed Aegar.
That's where he killed Rhaegar Targaryen.
Yeah,
right?
Rhaegar. Yeah,
and you know he talked about Daenerys because he just got a raven in the night before. He talked about Daenerys. I just watched this scene this morning. I'm not that much of a dork. Somebody made an internet meme or something. I just want to make that clear. Like, I am not that well-knowledged. I watched it on Facebook. But anyways, he'd said, you know, basically that she's been married to Khal Drogo. And that, so now, you know, and her brother was still alive at this time.
Right.
So, you know, then Robert Baratheon brought up the thought of her bringing an army of the Dothraki of 100,000. Yeah, so that's where the number comes from. Is 100,000.
Yeah, because a lot of the Dothraki got chewed up in episode 3 where they faced off with the Night King, which was kind of.
It was a very visually like exciting scene until like the flames extinguished, and I think that was
amazing.
It was amazing.
And, like to look at that scene and then to see how everybody comes off, and like even Mormont, was that his name? Her sidekick, is that his name? Jarro or Sir Jarro? He fucking rides back just like, what the fuck? Like, you could see him sort of just
that was the thing, is that in that scene, you don't see a lot of them, but you see the Dothraki
you just trickle in.
So I think, like, what I think happened is, you know, they had that fire, and as soon as they got too close to the death and the ice, that extreme ice, it just put the fire out. So maybe they didn't die when the fires extinguished. Their fires were just extinguished.
That's a stretch. But we're going.
But remember, it is winter and it is the extreme cold. You know?
And it's windy.
And they had that big storm with them too as they rode up.
And how long can metal burn with magic? You know,
what if it's wrapped in that stuff? What do they got?
That was a pretty cool scene though.
It was amazing. It was a great scene, and like. I love the rush of the White Walkers, how they just sort of like they're walking over, they're rushing over each other, just fucking tearing through people. That was awesome.
Whites, those are whites.
The whites.
The whites.
The whites.
And that's spelled W-I-G-H-T-S, by the way.
Is that how it's spelled?
Yes, it's white. A white is a zombie, basically. Not to be confused with the White Walkers, which are spelled W-H-I-T-E. So there's two kind of weird play on words there with the White Walkers and the whites themselves.
There's a house white.
Well, no, the White Walkers are the guys that sit on the horses and are.
Oh,
the
they're the ones that are.
Yes.
They're the generals.
Yeah, they're the
Okay.
ones. But those are. What was the guy's name? Crasper. I can't think of his name.
The original knight.
Remember how they were turning all the babies
Yeah.
into
he's giving
White
the babies?
Walkers
Yeah.
because they were still alive, and then those were the ones that grew up to be the White Walkers that could turn others when they killed them and then raise them.
That didn't even make sense. See, like, there's some plot points and shit that
Yeah.
they just
just gloss
imply.
over.
Yeah, well, they just imply it, and it's just like if for nerds
lot
like
to
us.
cover.
To say,
You
It
have to
is
like
what-
you have to like dive into it to like figure out like something that doesn't make sense. But I mean, in all honesty, like George R.R. Martin like covers most all the shit that, but they don't in the TV show. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's stuff in the TV show that like if you don't have some sort of back knowledge, the little insignificant scene doesn't really make any sense. Like,
Right.
But they make it kind of insignificant on the TV show.
And also like the thing, like how they were always sort of like, you know, the show wasn't going to be beholden to the books, and you know, and the books aren't going to be beholden to the show. So like the universes kind of can diverge and then come back into each other. For instance, like at the end in the Small Council, which I hated that scene where Tyrion's
yeah.
talking to like Samuel, who's now the headmaster, and Brienne, and what the fuck, Bronn?
Bronn is the master of coin.
Master of Coin, the biggest sellsword
Why
thief.
didn't they just make Jon Snow the king and then be like, "Well, you have our king. He's like in jail. You gotta
We'll
release
get there.
him
We'll
right
get
now."
there
Like,
because
God.
there's a lot wrong with
Oh,
this
man.
whole fucking episode.
Oh,
It's
man.
ridiculous.
All right, let's head
But
back.
Tyrion, okay, but just this one point where we're talking about the universes diverge. Tyrion was like, "Hey, we should make sewers," but like I just had got done reading that one of the Targaryens years before that already put. I think it was Jaehaerys, one of the best kings of Westeros. He reigned the longest, and there was a lot of peace. Like 50 years he reigned, and he did a lot of great things. He made the King's Road, and he installed a whole sewer system in King's Landing.
Because that's where the Mad King put all the wildfire throughout the entire city.
Oh, in the sewer system?
Yeah.
Oh shit! And that's so he blew it all out, or
He was gonna burn them all. He had wildfire put all throughout the entire city,
See, that doesn't
including.
make sense to me.
I can't even think of the building that. Remember when Cersei
Yeah,
birthed
The Citadel?
No, not the Citadel, but
Or
it was
the moons?
their holy.
Yeah.
Their holy building in King's
Yeah,
Landing.
I know what
can't
you're
think
talking
of
about.
the
The
name.
main fucking.
No,
place.
the Citadel's the main with all the books and
We'll-
everything.
Oh
Call-
yeah, you're right. Where the maesters hang
We'll
out.
call it the Game of Thrones Tabernacle. That'll.
It's one.
But she blew that up. But
Right.
and if you recall in that scene where she's burning the entire city, every
Yeah.
now and again,
Yeah.
you'd see a green thing of
you're right,
wildfire
you're right.
blowing up.
So maybe that is just a rebuild then.
Yeah, I think that was like a tie into some of the backstory with
Well,
the
either-
I
Mad
think they
King
use
and-
wildfire. They use wildfire for like lighting candles and keeping those torches like always lit and stuff too. Like,
Right,
you
but
see 'em using
the
that,
wildfire
so-
was stored all throughout the entire city
Sure,
of King's
yeah.
Landing.
So it could have gotten destroyed. Yeah. Well, yeah, and then second of all, the whole city was destroyed, so they're gonna have to rebuild everything anyways. So that was a shitty moot point that I just
Well, so
made.
yeah, they had to make sewers first.
But okay, here's another one. Lady Nightheart, who was Catelyn Stark in the book, zombie Catelyn Stark is Lady Nightheart, and she is not even in the show at all.
At all.
When Lady Catelyn got killed off at the Red Wedding, it was done. So yeah, back to the speech and how the fuck did those guys hear her in the back? But the imagery of that was amazing. I thought,
it was very metal.
it was metal.
It was
Hell
very
yeah.
metal.
It's very metal, very like Stalinist, like very like.
There's
you know,
actually
like
a video floating
dictatorship.
around too where somebody put "For Whom the Bell Tolls" by Metallica.
Oh, with all the I saw that.
Which makes a lot, which really is really great because of
Metal.
the
It
bells.
is metal.
Metal. It's that's awesome because of how like the bells would toll, and that was supposed to that'd be the end of the war. But Dany, even though the bells were ringing of surrender, she still burned down the place. So, and also like
Let's talk about the content of the speech though. So
yeah.
because like these all guys aren't all understanding what she's saying because she's speaking in
Yeah.
what the Unsullied.
They speak
Valerian.
The native tongue. They speak the
Some of
native
them
tongue.
Some of them speak,
Valerian, but the
but she was
Dothraki.
speaking.
Or the common tongue.
Wasn't she
Yeah.
speaking Valerian, or was she speaking Dothraki?
I don't know. I think it was Valerian
I
because
think
it
it's
seemed
Valerian.
like the Unsullied were responding to it more, and I think she was switching back and forth with some Dothraki because she addressed the Dothraki as well.
So
But yeah, she's basically telling them this shit ain't over.
yeah, we're gonna go do this.
we're
to
doing this to
everyone.
the whole fucking world.
Yeah.
And by then,
And if they
she
don't
just,
bend the knee,
yeah,
they
we
all fucking
burn
die.
the knee. Yeah, we're burning.
So at
these
this
bitches.
point, we knew she had to die.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, because you're gonna go around and just fucking burn all these people and places.
But did it really have to be, Jon Snow? I mean, like, Arya Stark's right around
He
there.
doesn't
She's
want it,
so
though.
much cooler.
He doesn't want it.
She's
He's made it
so
clear.
much
Yeah, well,
cooler
Jon
of a
Snow
person
don't
to
know
kill,
nothing.
Like, a killer. I mean, and I don't know. When
Let's
did they
get
just start
to
calling her
the
Danny
coronation.
all the time?
We're not to the coronation yet. We're still on the mountaintop. She's telling
When
all
did
her
they start
plebes.
calling her Danny? They're just like, oh, you're Danny now. He's John.
Did they call her Danny
Yeah,
in the
they
show
called her
too?
Danny at the end of the show, the last episode.
Oh.
And they're just like, oh, you're Danny. You're no longer Daenerys, so you're Danny.
Yeah.
He's John. Fuck it. We're over.
No,
We've killed everyone. Let's be really chubby now.
Because it was sort of the showrunner's way of referring to her. But do they refer to her as Danny in the books? I can't remember.
I don't know if it's in the books. I don't get
Right, you
Yeah,
haven't read
because
the
it's
book.
I don't know.
it's his Tia, man. It's Aunt Danny.
Yeah, Aunt Danny, Tia Danny,
Yeah.
Tia Danny, let's make out.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no. So she basically says she's like, we're gonna burn this whole fucking place down. We'll burn down the world. And then she makes Grey Worm the master of war.
Yeah.
And then fucking here comes Tyrion, and I almost thought Tyrion was about to start like sticking her himself because we kind of went over it, but Tyrion went down to the catacombs and found Jaime and Cersei laying perfectly under
and like
a
30
thin layer of bricks.
30 feet away from not dying.
Yeah.
Seriously, I would have been crawling. Just get a couple
Which
bricks
I like
out.
that. I like
Just get a couple bricks out, shimmy your way through.
I like.
Get on the
Why
boat.
doesn't he make for it there? Like, why would he not have just stayed down there and tried to dig himself out? Because he knew there was a secret passage out of there at some point.
Right,
Like,
but-
he should have just went for
What
it.
do you mean, Jamie or
Tyrion.
Oh, Tyrion. He just sort of just ran.
Run, dude.
Yeah.
But he had. Well, he saw his sister
but
and
yeah.
brother and was like, "I got a cause, and I'm gonna go be brave now or whatever." But
He knew he had to go speak more
I
words
honestly-
of cleverness.
I honestly like that there was that futility to that scene where they're like, where Jamie's like, "Fuck, oh fuck," and when they realize they die. I don't know how much I cared for the way they died. I thought Cersei was gonna get a little bit more like.
she deserved
fucked
it.
up.
She deserved
it. Yeah, and fuck Cersei and Tyrion crying over Cersei's bitch ass. Whatever. Cersei was awful. Like, what the worst.
She made awful children. She should have.
She did.
And if you make awful children, and I just want to say this on the record, if you make awful children, I think something awful, is.
But
becoming of you
not
for
all of
your
them. Like Tomlin was sweet. He was a sweet boy.
Tomlin was a good kid.
and
yeah.
the girl was nice.
good.
I
It was
guess.
just Joffrey was the prick.
Joffrey was a dick.
He was
though,
such a
man.
dick.
He's such a dick.
So-
Let's not even talk about Joffrey. I don't
Yeah,
want to
I don't
ruin
even wanna
this
get
entire
into Joffrey.
conversation.
Such a
That's like
ugly
I
dick.
went back and tried to start to rewatch, and then you get in that first season, and Joffrey's there. They're down by the river, and he's a little douchebag.
Yeah.
And he like gets the little he gets the butcher's boy killed
yeah,
basically.
The dog. Yeah, that's.
Remember they
fucking-
kill the dog? Don't they kill they
They
kill
make-
the butcher's boy too? Because
'cause
the
he
hound
he-
chops his head off. That's why he
hound
gets
runs
on
him down.
Arya's list.
Oh yeah, that's
Remember
right.
the hound
Look at
He
that.
runs him
executed
down.
him.
He just runs him down. He puts him on the back of this thing
But he killed him though.
Yeah, he killed him.
So Tyrion fucking walks up to Dany and fucking decides, she's like, you fucking let your brother go, and he's like, you burn 1 million people, fuck you, and throws his hand, which was a nice symbolism. It was the golden hand, like Jaime's golden shitty hand or whatever.
Was that a brooch?
Yeah, his
His
cute little brooch.
Isn't it a brooch? Is
is.
that technically what it is?
It is.
Full disclosure though, if you're like standing in a big like pile up there and somebody throws a brooch at you and it like goes down the stairs and it's all epic, how hard would it not be to pick that up?
You'd
Off
be
the-
like, I'm sure that's worth it.
I would want to pick it up.
That was very
Not that it
Conan
wouldn't,
and the
just be like-
Barbarian, though. Like that whole scene was very
I
Conan.
don't remember.
Remember Conan the Barbarian, where he chops off Volsa Doom's head at the top of that pyramid, and then he throws his head down the steps.
Oh, I
How
do.
old are you guys?
I do.
don't
I'm
remember
I'm
that.
years older than
He's
you.
like, he says something to the
I
effect
do
of,
remember the throwing the head, but
"You killed my father. You took his sword." And then he hacks his head off and throws it down. But this is well after he got thrown down the steps himself, and he was like, "Nah, yeah, yeah." Anyways, this has been just a quick reason for me to throw in Arnold Schwarzenegger impression.
just wanted to do
We'll
an impression.
Back to the stairs.
Well, the stairs. Okay, and then I also like before even Dany starts talking, the imagery of the dragon going behind her
Oh,
and
that's
like
really cool.
I thought that
Yes.
was sweet. Like it was like a nice symbolism. Like you woke the dragon, and I am full dragon, and by then she's fucking full tyrant and crazy.
You can tell. I mean, she's definitely got that crazy look.
Do you think she would have killed Jon Snow?
Eventually, maybe, but she did seem like she was like head over heels for him still.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
Well, that's what he ended up using to kill her. He used his dick. He just slid into her DM right there and took it
back
down.
into her though? Was that ever a possibility?
I don't know, but like,
was she too far gone? Is that what you think?
But I
think so.
But I mean, just let's wait till we get to the actual talking when they actually meet, because that was pretty amazing. And okay, anyway, so let's see. So they imply that Tyrion's taken and he's put in some room, and Jon goes to talk to him. Right? I'm not missing anything, right? Jon goes to talk to him, and Tyrion's like, "Yo, she's gonna come for you." Oh, but Arya's just walking around the soldiers. No one sees her.
Which they built something up with her for nothing.
For
no
nothing.
Reason. No
like,
reason
what was the white horse about at the end of episode 5? Like, what?
And
she seemed like she was off for a mission, but she just came back to
I got so many beefs with Arya's special power anyways.
Yeah,
she could be like, I take your face, now I'm 18 feet tall.
No,
like,
listen, I want to talk about that.
Sure.
I want to talk about that, which really, something that really irritated me this entire season. Arya has that ability to be a faceless man, and we didn't get any fucking faceless men. Nothing.
I still don't know how the faceless man could work. She's a little girl. Like, you would notice. I don't know. But I agree with you, though. I agree with you. We should have seen her, like, taking more people's faces and assassinating more people.
She was trained in the faceless men of Bravos.
She should have taken Jon Snow's face in the end.
Or something.
That would have been a better thing.
They should have used that. There was so much to use. That was such a huge device to use. And an awesome payoff for the fans, I think.
At the same time, I think, like, kind of what is getting back to, and like, this is stretching again, is like the Stark children being who they are. Being Arya Stark, being herself, and not having to be somebody else or whatever.
Yeah, because this was the season of the Starks. When you look
Sansa
at it,
being who she's always wanted to be the queen. Remember back to the beginning, she wanted to go marry Joffrey so she could be the queen of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah, let's talk about
she's actually been on path to be the queen.
So they got to all like.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Though.
I know. We're not there.
So annoying.
I know it's annoying. But both you get Arya and you get both Tyrion both saying the same thing essentially, is like, yo, as long as you're alive, she's coming after you.
You always be.
But would you guys really think that? Back to that, do you guys
threat.
really think it would have happened? Do you think that Dany would have gone after Jon Snow?
Yes.
Or do you think that?
I think so. Yes, because of what she says to him.
If she wouldn't give him that, because she doesn't want him to just want her as her queen. She wants some Jon Snow.
She wants Jon Snow to be complicit,
and she wants him though. She wants to make little incest babies.
Yeah, incest. But that's the history of the Targaryens.
It's the Targaryen history.
They marry aunts, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, to keep the bloodline,
keep it pure, like
keep the dragon
race
blood
style, which is crazy.
but that's what makes these books so great, is because they kind of. Because the realism of it, even though it's magic and dragons, but the realism, the brutality, the way that the serfs interact with royalty, and like how they have all these different, it echoes very much of reality, and that's, I think, what sells it so hard for us. And I really I even wrote down this because I love this quote. What was it? So Jon said, "Love is the death of duty," and he's talking about how he can let his emotions blind him for what he has to do, and Jon is a dutiful person who has honor, and he will break oaths to pursue his honor, sort of like his dad, Eddard Stark. He was a very simply political person who was just like, whatever the right thing is to do is what you do.
Yeah, he is the son of Ned Stark. Like he was raised in that strict northern, regimed, so he will never be a Targaryen,
right?
Really. He is a Stark.
He's a Northman for sure.
Yeah.
And then Tyrion sort of responds with, "Duty is the death of love," and that's interesting.
Flips it on him.
Right, flips it on him, but that doesn't sell him because Jon is kind of adhering to the duty is the death of love, where he's like, she is our queen, and whatever I feel about what's happening now, fuck it, because she's our queen, and that's who we serve. And then he asked her, "Would you do it?" And, you know, he sits there and fucking waffles on it. And, you know, obviously John wouldn't have fucking burned all those people. John is an honorable guy.
He saved all the wildlings.
Yeah, exactly. He was uniting motherfuckers, breaking oaths to unite motherfuckers to fight the whites.
He knew that what the real threat was to the kingdom.
To everybody, yeah, to the world. And
they needed Daenerys to win
did.
that war too. So
they absolutely did.
Because it's just so crazy because no matter how evil she was, remember there was something that was more evil than that.
She was worse.
Right? I don't even know Cersei. I'm talking about the Night King.
Yeah, Night King was
worse.
And like the thing was,
both awful.
But like
everybody's evil up in this.
But it's fucked up because you see Daenerys, like, she even flies instead of, because she could have easily went to King's Landing with 3 dragons, burnt that place down, and took the fucking throne, but she decided what the real threat was. And I guess that could have been like a geopolitical move where it's like, I know that this is going to be a real threat that only maybe I can handle, and this is going to be a problem even if I do go to King's Landing. So this is in my best interest. But she was in love. She is in love with Jon Snow.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that whole scene with her burning the dragons, since you were talking about that, you know, she could have. So what I thought was going to happen in that scene was she was going to fly right to the Red Keep and blow it up, and kill Cersei. But instead, she did something much harsher to Cersei.
Yeah.
She watched. Cersei had to sit there and watch because she saw her sitting up in her
which
high
was
tower.
such a great scene. Watching,
and she's like, "I'm gonna burn your fucking everything that you thought was gonna save you."
And how
down around
and
you.
how much she didn't want to accept that. Cersei didn't want to accept what was happening to her. I love that aspect of it, even though like. The episode 5 was like the Hound and fucking the Mountain fighting
that
a
was
lot.
great.
It was good, but like fuck, there was a lot to
great.
explore.
It was full fanfare, and I think we loved it.
We needed it.
We needed
No,
that.
it was good. It was
We
good.
needed the Clegane Bowl at the end of the.
Clegane Bowl.
That's what they've been
was
building
good.
this. This has been a fan theory.
What did you call it?
The Clegane Bowl.
Clegane. It was amazing.
This has been something that has been talked about by fans on dark internet websites.
The dark web.
Since
YouTube.
What do you mean, Reddit?
since a long time ago. Because there was always
4chan.
they always foreshadowed a rivalry at the beginning with the Hound, and they really did. He was around since season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, he killed the butcher's boy. The butcher's boy.
The butcher's boy.
But anyways, then the Mountain and everything. He's been in this.
Yeah.
Since the very beginning as
Yeah.
well. But those
remember
two were a
that?
huge part of the last two.
Because the Mountain got beat by that pretty boy.
The Mad
knight.
King. They worked for the Mad King too, I do believe.
Did they? Yeah.
The Mountain, because the Mountain was always like, so in the books and stuff, they talk about it a little bit. Like they would have these like contests, after tournaments with the Targaryens, and that's where I guess the Mountain was a big one. And remember they had one.
Yeah, and that
when
pretty boy,
Ed Stark.
From
what's his
Dorne?
name?
Yeah,
Dorne is
the Mountain speared his head off. Remember?
Oh no, it was
No, the other dude.
Oh yeah.
Because he gets dropped
From the Tyrell boy.
the Tyrell boy drops him the first time, right? And then he just gets pissed and comes out with him with a sword or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And chops the horse's head off.
Yeah.
Remember that? Like he gets
Yes,
pissed right
I
at
do
the end,
remember that.
chops
At the
fucking
tourney,
horse's
at the
head.
tourney.
Oh, that's a great scene. That's a great scene.
Yeah,
But that's right, the Tyrell boy won.
Tyrell boy did one. He was a fancy boy.
He was fancy. He was fabulous. He was good with a sword.
He was
Oh
Fabulous
yeah,
fancy
he was
boy.
because his
was the
sister was
and
Mark.
he
Was
was-
that the
Yes.
Marjorie? Was
and
his
he
sister?
was
Natalie
banging
Dormer.
The other Baratheon dude who was going to be
He knows
big, right?
Marjorie was hot though.
Marjorie was
smoking.
banging,
I'm just
yeah.
saying.
Marjorie was real smoking. But yeah, I love that scene even because Cersei sort of like she was in denial the whole time until finally the Mountain just sort of leaves her, and then her maester or whatever his name is, Corin or something.
I don't know, but that dude got tossed.
That was so tight. He just smashed him into the fucking.
The Mountain was
wall.
like, "I'm done anyways. Here, we're all done here.
Yeah,
just so
we're
you're
all
aware."
done.
Me and this dude,
Yeah,
it was like that.
We got
scene.
history.
We got unsettled, unfinished business. Isn't that a Kill
Good
Bill?
for the Mountain though. He'd been like ordered around and just like been like.
Oh, but we got to see him. He took the helmet off.
Zombie Mountain.
Yeah.
Dude, you guys got to follow that dude on Instagram. And
He's
stuff.
like a world.
Is the Mountain? The Mountain's the
Bjorn.
world,
weightlifter.
The guy from Netherlands who's
He
like,
has the world deadlift.
Yeah.
He deadlift was 1,055 pounds.
Did
or
he
something
lift like a
that.
school bus over his head?
I
or
saw him
something?
lift cars for
looking that up, you
charity at
guys.
Columbus.
lifting charity.
Yeah,
lifting
like
cars
at,
for charity.
At the what do they do? The Arnold Classic in Columbus,
do
right?
they?
Yeah,
No,
it's
I
like a
didn't know
big bodybuilding thing.
I know what Arnold
I'm
Classic
really
is.
into big
Yeah,
bodybuilding.
I can tell.
Yeah. No, my brother is.
1,041 pounds.
That's a lot of weight.
Wow. That is
That's a
lot.
car.
Yeah, well, a small car.
It's
right?
a small car,
Small
right?
car.
I have no idea. How
That is a big man.
So then the walk-in. So John's still stuck on this queen thing, and Tyrion can't get through him. Arya can't get through to him. He's just gonna go along with it. He doesn't care. He wouldn't have burned all those people, but he's like, fuck it, honor over everything. So his ass, fuck it, right before he leaves, Tyrion's just like, think about your sisters. He brings in the family involved, and so. So that must have changed his mind. But I don't think that was the final straw. Okay, so then he walks into the castle, and which I love that scene where he's going by Drogon, and Drogon just sort of shakes off all that snow/ash.
Yeah, you thought it was part of a mountain, like it was just like
it was just rubble, and he
Yeah.
just sort of like a dog. He gets up and
like, oh, it's the dragon.
it's Drogon, and Drogon sniffs him. It's like, oh yeah, he's cool. And by the way, like fucking here comes John. Dany's not protected by anybody. Like no one's fucking making sure the queen is
sense
sent.
to me either. Yeah.
So first of all, Dany's in the throne room, which is a great callback to what was that called?
When she was having the visions there.
Yeah, she had the vision. I wrote it down. Oh, the House of the Undying visions, where she goes into the throne, and kind of those visions come into fruition. She touches the throne. She never sits in it, and then she does end up dying. And because I think in that vision she sees Carl Drogo or whatever the fuck, and her unborn baby. And so she does end up dying. So that vision does come to fruition.
Oh, they had a little baby.
Yeah, remember it, but it died or something. And then so like that vision was.
And so in the books, like she gets her stuff removed. I think
She
like,
gets her. Oh yeah.
That's why she can't have babies because when that crazy woman like.
Oh yeah, then they did cut her.
Oh yeah,
out,
because the dragons will only be her babies.
Because didn't they poison her? Or?
There was something in the books which I can't.
She got really sick. And then,
yeah, well, she had that miscarriage.
And then they did that weird. She did that
She
weird
had to eat the
praying
heart.
thing, like, like.
This fucking.
Maybe that's why she had a miscarriage.
Yeah, she probably had
a.
She had a worms or something. Like
eat a
her
fucking horse
Targaryen
heart if
body,
you're
like
pregnant.
what didn't want horse worms in her.
Dumb Targaryen or dumb.
Dothraki. Why do you gotta eat a
Dothraki.
horse's heart?
Yeah, exactly.
So once John comes in and Dany's sort of having her little fucking little time in the throne room that's destroyed and fucked up, but she's just so happy and she's totally gone by this point. And John has that talk. And she just sort of is like, John's like, hey, you burnt all these people. You can't fucking proceed like this. And she's like, well, that's not their choice. It's like, we're going to choose what freedom is for these people. We're going to choose. She's like, it all goes through me, bitch.
Yeah, she basically said if John was like, well, what if they choose another choice? And she goes, well, then we'll make that choice for them.
Yeah.
And that's just like basically, Hitler, Stalin, whatever kind of dictator.
At that, yeah, she is. It's over. It's over in her head. She is the ultimate alpha and the omega.
Yeah.
She is the ending and the beginning, or the beginning and the end.
And she kept talking about her destiny and my destiny and your destiny. When people like start talking like that, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
talk,
you know it's over.
It's a good point. If you think you have a destiny, it's so random. Life is so random, right? Although Jon Snow, he's got to have a destiny. The way he walked through some battles, the way he's been so unscathed through anything. If there's anybody who is sent there to stop everything, dude, that guy.
I've seen a lot of fanfare about like, well, what was he resurrected? These guys, all this. He killed Dany. Yeah. That's why he realized why the Lord of the Light or whatever. I think he knew what his purpose was. Mm-hmm. He knew he had to walk in there. He was the only one that could get close enough to her with Grey Worm and all the Unsullied and the dragon. I mean, he literally walked by all of it. They're like, oh, it's Jon Snow.
Yeah.
It's Jon Snow. Cool. Like she likes to,
But I remember that scene when he first walked into the castle, walking up. Like I remember, I got like a dose of adrenaline. Like I was like, oh shit, this is it.
Yeah,
this is it. Like what's it gonna be?
Which way is it gonna go?
Yeah.
Here?
I was completely shocked it wasn't Arya Stark though. That was the only thing. Like I thought it was gonna be Arya Stark.
They can't double dip. I thought there was gonna be some face wearing.
If anybody from HBO is listening, remake the last 30 seconds. Arya Stark takes off her face, boom, everything else is the same.
But she's not killing Grey Worm. The only person that she could have killed to get close enough would have been Grey Worm. Like, who else could she have killed to get close enough to Daenerys at that point?
Yeah.
Jorah Mormont was already dead. You know,
Well, Arya
Melisandre, she could have
Maybe.
used Melisandre's face
Yeah.
to get close enough to her.
But Melisandre died. Everybody knew she died.
I don't know. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought Arya was going to. I thought we were going to see some face. Like,
No,
I'm
I
talking
thought
back.
she
And
was
you
again.
wait, that
sacrifice her
Melisandre
brother
is-
for this.
Is Melisandre was Melisandre Danny's right hand lady, or was that the redheaded witch?
Melisande.
Melisandre was
Yes,
Danny's
Melisandre was the red
redhead, the red woman. Yes, okay, thank you. I got those confused.
Yeah.
So obviously John realizes she's not gonna fucking change her ways, and he decides to ice her. Let's hear your opinions. I know you had a lot to say about this.
Yeah, I was just disappointed with the whole like how right just ended. So like I don't know. It reminded me of Shakespeare in high school a little bit. Like
there was-
E2 Brutus.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
It's just like,
no,
come
you're
on.
right. There was this huge over-the-top operatic
You fucking
sense
serious?
to it.
I've seen that before.
Yeah,
okay?
no.
I've seen
I'm
that
with
before,
you.
and
I
that's
like
how I
that.
really felt.
It's a classic scene, though. I mean,
It is.
But can't you come up with an original scene? It's been a really.
I
And
mean, he just
know
walked
that
by a dragon. They just killed a bunch of
CGI
people.
is not enough anymore. I just saw the Avengers Endgame. Okay,
Yeah, we did.
Captain
They just
Marvel
killed, like,
went through an entire
frozen
spaceship
zombies.
on an alien planet. All right.
Captain
That-
Marvel.
I don't even want to get into the Captain Marvel. I don't want to
neither.
talk about that either.
Whatever.
That
whatever.
that was
Doesn't matter.
stupid.
That was
CGI is
stupider
not
than
That
enough
was
to make
stupider than this. That
dumber
was
than this.
stupider than they just introduced
was-
Captain Marvel like a
that
movie
was-
ago. It was a movie ago.
She was the only one who could beat him.
And then she's the only one that can get the fuck out of here, Marvel
Great
Universe.
point. Another terrible idea.
Another terrible fucking ending. So
Thank
Jason,
you.
what did you think? How did you feel about it? I mean, like, this is it. You know, this was the big.
Well,
This was the
you know,
big
you
moment.
you realize, you know, John knows, you know, even though he's made a vow, he's taken an oath, he's bent the knee to his queen, you know, as they always referred, you know, because the Star Children always referred to her as your queen, your queen.
Yeah,
you know?
because not their queen.
He can't go back to the north and rule because he, you know,
Yeah, he gave up his.
he called it, and they all fucking thought he was a douchebag because of it, even though he is the
Did you
warden
see
of
that
the north.
meme? It's like
They don't
Jon
know who he
Snow
is,
typing on
though.
the computer. How to unbend the or Google. He's like
How to unbend the knee.
That's exactly what it is. So that's what you're
How do
talking
you
about. Right?
unbend the
Right.
knee?
But you know, he breaks an oath that
Yeah.
he had to take because. But you know, this
Honor over fucking oath, I guess.
he knew what that was created. He knew, you know, after talking to Tyrion, what was going on, and I think, you know, I mean, I know, I honestly like what I didn't enjoy about it cinematically.
Yeah.
Was just the shot. Like we didn't even see the
Yeah.
knife
That's
going
But
into
that's a
her.
classic shot.
That's why.
It's
That's,
a classic shot.
Again, that's just made it so like
'cause you almost
high
first-
school play ish.
Yeah,
Right
well,
there,
and
where
you
go
almost didn't
blood.
know if it was Danny or John, you know what I mean? And I mean, because they did that split second where you're just
Yeah.
like, it could have went either way, but then you saw Danny kind of go,
They didn't even show like. I mean, I guess they did show her laying there stabbed with the sword.
yeah, and
At the end.
and blood running out of her face.
But I just the actual like them together. Like I was just like, oh, like they didn't like
yeah,
show the stabbing or.
He's just
I know
like
that
a
sounds
kid's-
terrible for me to say, but like.
no, but with all the brutality that they do show, like children burning
Like,
alive.
that could have been very operatic, like you know, like Celine the Scene. You know where they play that Celine Dion song.
My heart will go on.
You know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So.
So, anyways, like I honestly thought, you know, it was very poetic.
Yeah. It was like.
But
it
where
was
do we go from-
cliche
Where do we go from
cliche.
here?
It was cliche.
Like, and second off, I do want to discuss one thing. Like, we went kind of past it, and I
Oh,
want to
yeah,
bring this up in
please.
the episode. John has that little interaction with Grey Worm's douchey fucking.
Oh, where he's
ass.
slicing the Lannister
Yep.
soldiers.
And then, so he's doing that, and then John's like, "Well, I'm off to the fucking castle." And then he get to the castle, and Grey Worm's already up on
Yeah,
top of the
that's what I was
stairs.
saying.
I don't know.
How was Grey Worm on the stairs?
Grogu fucking threw him up
I
there.
used to work at this place.
Drogon
I used to work at the place.
You know?
I did
and
notice
the
that,
maintenance
dude.
man
You
would
get
be
a Segway?
mowing the lawn at like 6 in the morning, and then I get inside like where my workstation was, and he'd be up on a fucking ladder like changing a light bulb. I don't know. Some people just have that speed with you. You're like, oh, I just
But
gotta get somewhere.
I think I just figured it out.
speed.
They did. I think they had their horses there
Oh, maybe he rode up.
Maybe.
because it was a long ways. If you remember,
Yeah.
like
I just think Grey
Yeah,
Worm's
that was a
faster
long
than
one.
you.
they were
I
just
think
out
he's
there
a
executing
more
all the Lannisters.
agile and he's got
He
no
don't.
balls.
He don't have a dick and balls to
Yeah,
get in the
he's
way. Yeah.
more aerodynamic. You see him in water, couldn't catch him in water.
he is. He's hairless.
Not with those meat cluckers banging you, weighing you down.
And you know the Unsullied probably had some fucking dongs, some
What?
fucking real hogs.
I really
going
hated
on.
how Grey Worm turned out to be a douche. I really liked Grey Worm in the beginning. I really
But
liked all
he
those dudes.
started as a douche
Well, I think
because he was.
Melisande died, and he just like
Yeah,
that was the only
I
thing
guess
that
so.
he
But he
like,
went
loved in
back
this
to
world.
murder because he was all he was murder and pillage and kill because he wasn't that.
That's- he was a
Here's the
machine.
thing.
He was a
Yeah.
Let's go
machine.
back to.
And then Melisande.
Well, let's talk about the Melisande scene because
Okay.
that was a lot of foreshadowing for Grey Worm and what his character became at the end.
Sunday.
With Cersei had her moment
Right.
where she could have been like, all right, but I think what drove Daenerys to do what she did was, she's sitting up there on her dragon and she's sitting there and Cersei had her fucking best friend's head chopped off and there wasn't a whole lot in the world that she really liked really,
Right.
It
Yeah.
seemed
She
like
didn't have a lot of
people-wise.
friends. That
She didn't have a lot of
could trust.
people.
Yeah.
I think that was the start of it. I think, there's a lot of things. I think Tyrion fucking her over. I think that was a little bit of it. I think the fact that she
Which
realized...
time?
Oh, because he let Jaime go back and like, let her
Again.
out again, right? And she...
But then what was the time before? Because he fucked up again because for trusting Cersei.
For trusting Cersei,
Right.
and like then I think he was bummed about, or she was bummed about that, and then I think the final straw was you're gonna come, fuck, I lost it. I don't know.
That's all right.
That's sorry.
That's all right. No, but so we got the queen is dead, and Drogon senses it and please.
Here's the final straw. The final straw is she realizes Jon Snow is a fucking Targaryen and has a better claim to the throne
Yes.
because he's got a dick.
No, that's
And then she
And he can
thinks
make babies.
he's down on the
That's
ground
true.
right there, and she thinks, what if I just torch the whole fucking city and he dies by accident? And I think that was a big deciding factor to her too. Where
I
she
didn't
said,
think about
She
that.
didn't really care that he was down there.
let's
Yeah.
kill another bird, right?
Yeah,
Let's,
yeah. I mean,
you
if he
know,
dies, he dies.
I'm on a
If he
fucking
dies,
dragon. I'm
he
killing
dies.
birds all the time. All right,
Yeah.
you see a dragon before?
Yeah, no.
If he cries, he
If
cries.
he cries, he cries.
If he sighs, he
He's
sighs.
God, and first of all, Jon Snow turned into the biggest, most confused bitch by the end of the show. He's just like,
Does
like,
Kit Harington only have that one face? Where
he
he's like,
But
he
he,
doesn't,
honestly,
a pensive.
I'm not trying to jump all the way to the ending, but he, his story ended up where it needed to end up. I think.
I kind of like that twist because even George R. R. Martin was saying how the ending is gonna be bittersweet. And so,
Yeah.
you kind of expect that, and that's kind of how these fantasy novels, even
So-
at the end of the first season, Ned Stark gets chopped off. They kill the hero,
Yeah.
and that's the type of
It sets
shit
the
they
tone
do.
for the entire thing.
Exactly,
Like,
because that's
you
what
thought this was the main character,
right,
You're like, wait, how is this guy getting killed? He's like the main character of the entire show,
right,
but he's not. Like
Right.
he ends up being just
just
the
a
starting of the story.
Right,
Like it's like
yeah.
a before what actually happens.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. No, I do like that, but kind of going back to, and we'll kind of get to this in the end. Dany going into madness, we kind of went over what kind of may have caused that, but it did seem kind of rushed. It just
Yeah.
is, it just seemed like a character arc of that magnitude. Just sort
It
of
seemed like
in
it.
a couple episodes, just or one episode. Was it just one episode, and then she's just fucking crazy?
It's a pro wrestling move, man. It's just your classic. It's your classic heel turn. Oh, guess what? The good guy
shit.
was the bad guy the entire time.
Hey,
God,
let me tell you
wow.
something, Mean Gene.
The
I don't
crowd
give a
goes
fuck.
wild.
Fucking Jon Snow don't mean shit to me, Mean Gene. So
Let me tell you something, Daenerys.
so fucking Drogon flies up, and of course Drogon has this great poetic sense of irony and decides to burn the throne, or he just sees the dagger and sees the throne and sees that they're similar and burns it.
Yeah.
I think Braun got the last laugh on that one because he doesn't even need a throne. He's just always in his chair all the time.
But just keep in mind,
like,
the Iron Throne, the Iron Throne was forged with dragon fire.
Right, and
So,
it was
there's something very poetic that it was dragon fire.
Right. Which was Valeria, the dragon, the Black Dread, and who was ridden by Aegar the Conqueror, Aegar the First. He had that forged out of the swords of his enemies, his fallen enemies. And in reality, in the books, in the books, the throne is actually like a huge fucking like thousands of swords mounted and forged together by the Black Dread. Even his,
but the whole base of it was just like a,
right,
solid steel. So I mean, it really could have been maybe 1,000 little skinny swords.
And plus
they melt all down.
I mean, they can't. How are they gonna? They gotta fucking move that thing around. I know.
It stays right there. It doesn't go anywhere.
I forgive them for not having the accurate fucking size of what 1,000 swords look like forged together by dragons.
I saw that. I mean, I do parts.
It's
of
probably
that was a casted chair. For the record, Game of Thrones, they would have cast that. Yeah, they wouldn't have forged that. Forging's like when you make I know that it's what they said in the book. Forging's different.
Forged by
that was cast. What you saw on the show.
So I mean, what did you guys think about Drogon burning the chair? I thought it was kind of stupid.
Taking Daenerys and leaving a huge open.
Yeah.
What happens?
Yeah, and just flying off east to fucking Essos or wherever.
Technically, she could fly to Valyria, and there's red women and stuff over there. Like they left a lot of open ends where
totally. And I kind of want
in Game of Thrones world, Daenerys could not be dead right now.
Exactly.
She could be alive. There could also be more dragons. That'd be cool if more like another age of dragons popped up. I'd like to see something like that.
Yeah, that would be cool. So
they say dragons are very intelligent. Like
even
they're more like sixth sensey.
Yeah.
Type.
So I guess I could see that, and I guess I could see that if the dragon is smarter than humans, that it would see that this is a symbol of all this death and blood that's been shed, and his queen's dead because of this, his mother's dead because of this, so I'm gonna blow this up. But honestly, I kind of wanted to see him fucking eat Jon Snow. I thought that would have been way tighter for me, but then again, I wanted the Night King to just kill everybody.
Well,
so that was my I was just rooting for that. So that was my
the world.
I did. I just was fuck this place.
Like, watch this really intricate story where after the end is just everything dies.
I like that. It's very Hitchcock.
You're living on it, man. Give it 20 years.
You're right. Oh yeah, that's reality. Where Donald Trump's the president.
We don't need another story like that.
We're done.
Don't need it. We're
done
with
Biff.
Biff is the president.
Biff is
the richest man in the world.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
So that's kind of like part one, right?
They just kind of fly off, and then that's it. That's like the end of that.
Yeah,
so Jon Snow's walking out of the room then
But we don't get to see how he leaves the room. If there's a struggle with the...
Couldn't
he just skate away? But I don't know what happened. She just took off on her dragon. I would have tried to play that.
He turned himself in, evidently.
Yeah.
He went and told
and
somebody.
Why didn't Grey Worm fucking just murder him on the spot? Like he fucking would have any motherfucker who just killed his queen.
And then all of a sudden you got this council of a bunch of Northmen.
Time goes by, a couple weeks.
The Dornish people were down there.
The
Dorn people were there.
Harrenhal, fucking.
I think the Golden or the bank people or whoever.
Oh
were there
yeah,
too.
Bravo, the Bank of Bravo.
The Golden Bank or whatever. What is it?
I can't remember. Anyways, there's a grand...
the Iron Bank or...
The Iron Bank.
The Iron Bank, that is
the Grand Council, or I think, no, the Great Council. So, the Great Council, this is interesting, and this is just a bit of nerd facts, but, in the universe, this would be only the fourth time that the Great Council of Westeros has gathered. The other time was on the show as well for, what was that? What did they have to all gather for? And then another time in the books, before the Song of Fire and Ice time period.
Gendry's sitting up there in the end.
Gendry,
he's the man.
Yeah, he was
He's the
Storm's End, right?
Yeah.
He is a Baratheon.
Arya's just all the Stark children
All
are
the
sitting there in the
Starks,
end.
which the North is overly represented, but that's okay.
But why do you think Bran came all that way?
Yeah, which is the great part. So this whole scene, I think this whole scene is fucking stupid. It's like the worst fucking thing. Like
come
the
on.
first, so like the first half,
Come on.
the
It's
first
so
half
stupid.
of the show, I was like, okay, I can handle all this, and then let's just see what happens after this whole Daenerys thing. And then to see that Grey Worm marches out Tyrion, and then all of a sudden Tyrion's a prisoner, and he's convincing this great consul to get the cripple of fucking the king. It's like it was just like
Because everybody's like, I don't know, this kid can do something,
right,
and
he's like the living internet, you know. He's just
like he knows everything.
He is the closest thing they have to internet, so that's a good point to make him.
So
like,
the Third Eye Raven basically becomes the ruler of all things, which is honestly probably the best possible scenario.
And I don't think it was a bad decision. I just hate how they got to it. I don't mind that Bran is sitting the throne. I think that's kind of a cool idea, and it makes the most sense because he's going to be the wisest ruler to go forward. But it also is like, so can Bran tell the future, or like did he
No,
know
he
that
can't
this-
tell the future.
So then he
just-
fucking. But did he set this all up to sort of place himself
he
on the
just
throne?
plays people because he knows everything about your past. So
He knows how it's maybe gonna.
He
He knows everything everybody's done.
Yeah, everything everybody's.
Well-
every time you beat off, he's watched it. Okay, so
He saw your O face.
right, he's seen it. He knows what you're gonna play. Right?
Oh,
He knows what you're gonna do. Right?
he knows what you're
He's got a
yanking.
good idea.
You know, so
He sees when you're masturbating. So he's Santa Claus, basically.
he's Santa Claus, a little bit Jesus. I don't know.
That's some next level shit. That's good.
He knows when you masturbate.
But he's great for King because also he is like this. He's not just a human anymore. He is.
What
like
about
this-
Sansa just being a dick to him right off the store? Be like, hey, he can't fuck anything. He's got a
Oh
broken
yeah, he
dick."
called him out. He
Like,
has a
he's like,
broken dick.
You're my sister. Thanks.
He got a broken
alright?
dick.
How's he gonna have kids? He can't fuck. Can't fuck, little dickless little bitch.
And then they're basically like, well, we're not gonna.
Right. Well, then they
The Six Kingdoms.
Yeah, the
because
Six-
the
Yeah,
North,
that was
King of
not
the North.
Six Flags.
That's what pissed me
So
off even
Sansa's
more
children
about
will-
Sansa.
Yes.
Sansa's just like, well, actually, no, fuck my brother, because I'm not going to be a
Sansa's
part
queen
of
in
this
the North.
kingdom.
Yeah, and no one else.
Like it always was.
No one else, like Yara, Yara Greyjoy was still on Daenerys' side and still wanted Jon to die. So they're trying to figure out whether or not Jon's gonna die or
And we're
what the
talking
punishment
about like
is.
much
Yeah.
bigger players, like the fucking Iron Bank, the Donish have
Right.
a bunch of money. All these guys have a bunch of money, and then like the North, what do they have in the North? Potatoes and like fucking guys do
Snow.
like, snow, potatoes,
And the
like,
unsettled
guys
are
with
all gonna
knives. That's all they
die
have in
unless
the
they
North.
start kidnapping people. Like
Right,
the
yeah,
unsettled
where did the
are gonna
Unsullied go?
They ain't got no dicks. They ain't got no chicks.
Are they going? Are they
ain't-
going to where Millis?
They're just
Well, no, they
sailing.
took the Dothraki too.
Where did they say they were sailing to?
Were they going to
The Isle of Toth or
Noth?
Noth.
Not.
Nah,
Oh,
Thoth,
so
don't
I
know.
heard some just sort of like watching all the stupid fucking
Is there,
videos.
is there people there?
There are people there because that's where Millis. Isn't that where
That's-
she's
Melisandre.
yeah, that's where she's
Sunday's from. But I was looking at a video and there was a bit of universe facts that came out in regards to where they were going, and when they were saying that maybe they're going off to Noth, they were saying that there is a specific disease there that doesn't affect the people who are from there. It's called like the butterfly something, and it kills anybody who's not from there because they don't have the immunity to it. So if they are going to the Isle of
all
Noth or
gonna
whatever,
die.
they're all just gonna die of this sickness,
Oh.
which is hilarious.
I can see that. That's a poetic justice.
Right,
agreement.
which
That's what you get.
which is awesome.
That's good. That's fine.
So this great consul, fucking Bran is announced he's the king of Six Flags, and fucking and Sansa is just now she's the fucking queen of the North, and no one objects.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Everyone's
just
like,
don't
yeah,
get
it's
that.
cool.
I don't get that. I don't know
Because
why everyone was like, well, then I'm
why
the king of
wasn't-
my area.
yeah.
I'm the king of my area.
And why
I'm
wasn't
the king-
everybody just like, you know what, fuck this. Why are we fucking bending our knee to this fucking cripple? Why don't we put our army together and take over? To me, this just looks like more war. That's what it seems to me.
And she
Yeah,
needed-
they were trying to just say like, listen, if you guys want to try to take over things, there's a bunch of Northmen that are ready to fight.
right.
We're ready to fight.
bruh.
We're ready to fight. It's winter. It's time to fight.
They want to get Jon Snow back. Damn it! They want him back now.
So so Grey Worm is like, you need to kill him, or he needs to be punished. And so John is voted off the island. He's not going to be the king. He fucking he's in
prison. He's been in prison for a long time. It looks like when they show him too.
He's all hairy.
How long's it been? Bran had to come all the way on a wheelchair, so I mean, it had to have been at least 2 fortnights.
Yeah, exactly. Like 2 moons.
I like thinking about the specialized buggy that Bran gets wheeled up into from it, like a handicap, like accessible buggy. I like thinking about that, like I don't know how that's, but it's got some sort of pulley and lever system that
fucking Podrick has to sit down there and crank him up.
What about when Hagrid would just like carry him on his back and before they're like
Hodor.
Hodor's Hagrid, fucking Harry Potter reference. Hodor would just carry him on his back, just like that's the best kind of wheelchair you can get possibly.
It's
if it
true,
was just a human powered one.
And then he would
They're
like warg
expensive,
Hodor and stuff. Remember, like he did that a couple times.
That was another thing too. If he could just fucking take people over, if he could just warg
But he
people,
saw what happens when you warg people, though. When you warg people, they go nuts.
Yeah, but he could have just fucking made Daenerys nuts. Why didn't he just have her walk off a fucking cliff?
I don't know. I'd be warding a bunch of people if I could. That's
true.
I would ward a girl and masturbate and grab my own titties.
Jamie Lannister a little when he was eye fucking up. He's just like, yeah, you stare at me. You stare at me.
Real
You can't
hard,
break
baby.
your eyes out. I'm gonna eye fuck the shit out of you.
I'm gonna ward the shit out of you, baby. You and that no hand of yours.
Why do you think I came all this way?
Ooh, here we are. So fucking they decide to send John to the now useless fucking Night's Watch.
For bastards and broken men. But they all know he's not a bastard nor he's not a broken man.
But
he's
no,
a broken man.
But what
He has
wasn't
been
the night?
killed
I
up
thought the
there. He
night
did get killed there.
Wasn't the Night Watch started to make sure the White Walkers can't get in?
Yes,
and just
Bran the
basically people
Builder.
from the
Bran
north.
the Builder built the wall with
and they started the
magic and
Night's Watch.
giants
Magic and giants.
and the children of the forest.
Yep.
And that was to keep out the White Walkers. No more White Walkers. And they're cool with the fucking wildlings. So why the fuck are they? Why is John even up there? Why is there a fucking Night's
There's still
Watch?
magic. There's still like old world magic. And,
They're
like,
still
the
dragging
first,
out their
first
bro.
men and
because
all,
all
that
those
bullshit,
people
you know?
live there. Like for the wildlings, that's their home.
Yeah.
You know, like. You know, remember Tormund always told John, and John spent plenty of time in the north.
Right.
You know,
And that's where he
He called
loved.
them Southerners.
He loved it up
remember
there.
that?
Yes, he did call them
Southerners, because like that's not. We all know it's not the real north.
That's the true
like,
north.
The
right?
true
They call
north, which it is. It's farthest north point.
That's too fucking far
If you look at the map,
That's
I'm
too
trying to
far
pull up this map of Westeros. It's really driving me crazy.
Pull it up.
I can't find
It's
it.
not like they can
Yeah,
see
giant
it.
book there.
They're not gonna be able to see the
I'm
map.
just gonna edit out 1,000 minutes of this. Do whatever you want. You can do it.
So Bran is made to the damn.
Yeah, so Bran is king, in which, I mean, honestly, what did you guys? I mean, was there someone that you would prefer that would have?
I just
been
thought it was
king?
funny when Tyrion was like, "Who's got a better story than Bran the Broken?" Like pretty much everyone.
And how?
They're all
Everyone
dead,
has a better
though.
story.
Yeah, 'cause
every
Bran just
single person.
sits-
How about yourself? I don't know.
Tyrion had a
Everyone
better
has a
story.
better story. That's not really a good reason.
But
for
Bran
making-
had a pretty exciting story. He was crippled and still managed to get around and fucking go look for the Night King or whatever the fuck he was doing for those last.
What did anybody who he went on those like magical trips? Did they come back to tell the story about it?
Well, then he iced that one chick who was taking care of him that whole time. Hodor dies. This girl, Mira, she's like,
Mira Reed.
thank you. That's all you have to say. And he's
Mira
just like-
Reed. Yeah.
he was just like, I don't know.
So
What-
little history about Mira Reed. They showed in that scene sitting there around her dad, Howland Reed.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you're aware of this, but this is some Westeros history.
Oh, I like it.
So you know, wherever it was that Bran saw the Tower of Joy, where Bran found out that Ned Stark was,
Oh yeah.
you know,
his sister.
his sister had it, and then Rhaegar had married and
Right.
So
everything.
did Rhaegar have a bang palace called the Tower of Joy?
Yes, yeah.
Tower?
Totally.
Jeez.
Rhaegar like went around singing to all the poor folk and like had his
Wow.
Tower of Joy.
Come
But
to
anyhow,
my Tower of
let's
Joy.
bang bitches in
The
the
guy
Tower
who
of
saves
Joy.
Ned Stark there at the end.
Who does? I'm sorry.
There's a guy that kills that knight that came to
Oh,
kill
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
That's Howland Reed.
Oh,
He's the
okay.
only other person that was at the Tower of Joy when that happened. So I'm my guess is that if anybody else in Westeros may have known, it was him, because he knows that he came from that tower with a baby.
Yeah.
So. But
So maybe-
and then remember her brother. Then the other I can't think of his name. Remember he had the green seeing, where he could
yeah.
foresee things and stuff like that too.
Right. See, but
they just kind of like they were big history Westeros, but then they kind of just slid him in at the end too. They're like, oh, Howland Reed's just over here now. Like, anyways, like, so that's just a little extra to the episode if you weren't aware.
We need it. We need all of it.
To the episode of the show, like, that's something people might not have known because they didn't really link that together. Like, they show it in the show, but they don't really link it.
Yeah,
by
I
any
would
other
like them
means.
to go back and cover a lot of that stuff that before just the Ned Stark time. They should just go deep into just the whole Ned Stark time.
That's what's gonna happen probably.
Yeah,
well,
probably.
Well, the prequel is gonna be like thousands of years before.
See, I heard that too. I don't like that. I want to just know what was Ned's.
But they're gonna go
teenager Ned Stark. What was he doing?
But they're gonna go with like the creation of like the White Walkers and shit. So like it's gonna be sort of like the Age of Heroes and stuff.
Targaryens were ruled.
No, it was before the Targaryens.
Oh, that's right.
We're doing pre-Valerian magic or whatever.
Yes.
So it's gonna be of the First Men and the Children of the Forest, and which, by the way, all these are just covered in the books, Songs of Fire and Ice. It's just over the series. All this history and shit is just sort of covered in that, and like. For whatever reason, I thought he had a whole nother series of books before the Game of Thrones. I know he does, but it's not related to this universe.
And I thought he did. Westeros.
But he's been as he's been writing these books, he's been sort of writing some prequels and stuff. So like Fire, Blood and Fire, and then what's the Hedge Knight is another one he wrote in the middle of writing Song of Fire and Ice. So all these prequel stuff, all the before time stuff, it's all in the books and stuff. But I just. Well,
it's very Tolkien-ish, I mean, George R. R. Martin, on most counts right now, is probably the Tolkien of our generation. Totally. I mean, I don't know. The last time I was excited about movies and stuff was after the Lord of the Rings and stuff. Like, I mean, those books are really good too. Like the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit.
I heard. But
I don't want to talk about Lord of the Rings or anything.
Well, they're coming out with a show. On Amazon.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it.
He's like, I'll probably watch it or whatever.
But him create this entire universe with the history, like it was like kind of like I think it's called the Silmarillion for Middle Earth. Tolkien has a similar books and stuff where it's the history of Middle Earth and everything.
Oh, that's cool. So I mean, it's cool because George R. R. Martin does have this like wealth of inspiration he can kind of draw with like fantasy and stuff to sort of put his spin on it, which it seems like he's doing. So then I guess what are we missing anything? Oh no. So like the small council, I thought that was a stupid scene. Like it showed Bronn fucking as the master of coin. It's like fuck that guy. Fucking.
Yeah, let's talk about Bronn. Okay, how does he just like pop back in after being such a douche?
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna murder you guys.
Like literally, that guy threatened to kill me.
He doesn't.
I don't know. If you threatened to kill me, I wouldn't work with you.
Why even come that way?
Yeah.
Why even go that far up there?
Right.
Just to tell him,
I'm gonna kill
if you don't win, you're gonna die.
And then so they make him the master of the buddy. Yeah. Let's see how long fucking King's Landing lasts.
But I think maybe that scene meant they couldn't kill him. Like Bronn at the end showed that he was a good guy.
Yeah.
And even though because she already paid him.
Yeah, that's true. Huh?
That douchey doctor guy came in and was like, "Hey, the money's in a wheelbarrow out here right now. Right. Cersei pays now."
Right.
So he'd already gotten paid. So that's probably why he was the master of coin because he had all Cersei's money.
Wheelbarrow full of money.
Like, we have to actually borrow some money from you, sir.
That's probably why because he had all Cersei's gold.
Bronn is the only one who has cash. It's like, oh shit, we kind of have to be cool with this guy.
You got all Cersei's money.
What should we do next, sir? But I just thought that whole scene where they're talking about funding brothels and shit, I was just like, I mean, it was nice. They kind of showed this like happy day, and then the fucking book.
It was campy. It was pretty campy.
Oh, yeah, what about
the songs of Ice and Fire.
No, the song we
I'm writing this book.
Tarth going up and writing for Jaime Lannister.
Well, I thought that was nice. I wouldn't expect less out of somebody who loved somebody and then got scorned in the end, but was still an honorable knight and saw the good in Jaime.
And she buttered it up really nice.
Yeah, she was like, Brianna Tarth's got the bombest ass.
He was noted saying that Brianna of Tarth has the bombest pussy of all the 7 kingdoms of Westeros.
That'd be good.
That would have make she would have wrote that.
They should have wrote something ridiculous in there.
She had to throw down that she got knighted, though. She had to finish that because she wanted to make sure she was in the books.
Hell yeah, she did. And
Oh, that's right.
Now she's running the show.
She's like, now I'm in charge, bitch. Yeah, no, it was, to me, it was just kind of like, I don't know. It just like and then the book itself, the Song of Ice and Fire, how Tyrion was written out of it when Tyrion is like
He's
one of the
pretty-
biggest players
Yeah.
in that book. So like,
That's funny,
I don't
yeah.
remember him getting written out, but I must have not made it that far.
you're like, I can't do.
Well,
this.
because I like I said, I quit reading the books at a certain point.
Oh no! I'm talking about
No,
the show.
in the show,
Oh.
the
they
last.
Oh.
Remember
in the show, he says you're not mentioned.
Remember they put Sam puts that book.
Oh, yeah.
Because and I think that was like a callback to the Hobbit too. Is what I heard. Is that
Yeah.
that was a callback because I think in the Hobbit or something they put a book called like the Lord of the Rings or something.
Oh, okay.
In front
Yeah,
of
yeah.
one of the main characters, and so like it was kind of callback. It seemed like a joke that the writers were doing.
Samwise Gamgee. Do you think there's any? You think that there's any like
Samwell
correlation there?
Tarly?
Samwell Tarly and Samwise Gamgee.
It's
Kimchi?
it's the same amount of
Kimchi?
syllables.
Samwise Kimchi.
Sam likes kimchi. That's a good name.
Anyways,
Yeah, so
see, Lord of the Rings. I'm saying there's a lot of like
yeah, there's a lot of things going on, and
dragons.
I just thought
That's
it
a
was,
big one.
I just thought it was fucking stupid. That's all. Like I didn't
Yeah, it was
like
campy. Like, but at the same time, like if you go through and watch again, like it was campy a lot throughout
Yeah,
the
of
entire
course.
show.
There's always those moments where there's
Peter
just,
Dinklage is funny as fuck at times. Like,
and he
he's
looks funny too. Like I'm sorry, I love. He looks funny too. He's not the best looking guy.
he's got good
nor-
delivery. He's got good delivery.
He's a hell of an actor.
I like him on
He
those
acted
Capital
the
One
shit out of
commercials.
it.
Those are good.
I haven't seen them.
You haven't seen those? He's like storms in there. He's like, "What's in your wallet?"
Oh.
He's good. He's good. Oh,
So Bran's
No.
just like,
No.
but so Bran's just like, hey, where's the dragon? Has anybody any spottings on your dragon? Look, maybe I will try to go find him. You guys finish.
Yeah, and then Podrick, I guess, is the
Oh.
wheeler.
Yeah, Podrick Payne gets to be his Hodor
He
now.
gets his Podrick's the new Hodor.
You know what's something they never touched back up on Podrick? Like, remember, like the whores in the brothel really enjoyed
Oh yeah, they're
Podrick.
really into him.
Like this dude.
They kind of brushed over that.
Yeah, they brushed over that. They talked about it once, and then they never used his like
his
his sexy qualities after the
I just
fact.
think that's just so common in the Game of Thrones world.
They
It's just
started
like-
something and they didn't like follow up on that.
Yeah, they just sort of like storylines lead to dead ends, and
What does that say about Railroad?
Like, couldn't they at least
himself
like
that he's
walked him
just
by a
writing all
couple, like a
these-
group of women with Bran and been like flash Podrick at least a nod, like, like, and all the ladies are like, oh, no, okay, maybe not.
No. Well,
He just wheels
Sir Podrick
Bran
Payne.
outside of the brothel and then walks in. He's like, "You're okay here for a while.
You're good, right? You're sire. You good?
Good?
You're cool." He's like, and Bran's just like, "Yes,
Just
I'm
sits there.
fine."
It's like, where do you want to sit? We can sit outside the front of the
You want
brothel.
to face the brick wall or the
Get you a nice
latrine?
medal.
Well,
We'll get you a
here's
nice
another
little,
plot hole with that. Brant needs weirwoods.
Does he? Why?
Like those are like he can warg
Uh-huh.
without the weirwoods, but he to see like into the past and things,
Oh, he has to be with those trees.
he has to be with the trees, and those are northern trees. So that's and I mean, I guess he's the king. He can do whatever the fuck he wants whenever
I'm
he
gonna
wants.
go to the north to find out what's going
Yeah.
on.
Just go
You
grab
guys
one
run
of these
this. I'm going to go up north for a little
Plant
bit.
one of these trees down here.
I
We
guess he
need
could.
to-
yeah. What's
I'm the
happening here?
king.
Yeah, get some
Bring that fucking
saplings.
tree
Bring
over.
that giant tree right all the way.
And if
over
it
here.
dies, if you dies, he dies.
The tree dies. Yeah, there was really, it was silly. So
I'm gonna
It wasn't
go
how
try to
something
find a
should
dragon.
end after 7 years of watching.
of like
it, right?
real
Well, it didn't
fucking,
end that- it didn't end
real
that way.
building, like a
Yeah.
building to something.
It
and
shouldn't
then-
end campy, is
Yeah.
what we're trying to
Yeah,
say.
it was very
It's-
campy.
I like that, in the end I did like how hot Sansa was as queen. Like she was like really hot and like, that was cool for her. And then Arya sailing off.
I want to say
past-
something that I didn't say
Please.
at the beginning of this
Oh, please,
podcast.
please.
Like, so this whole season, for me, in my personal opinion, I feel like could have easily been 2 seasons.
Yeah, I agree.
It could have easily been 2 seasons. 1 season for the war with the Night's King, like an entire season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That
Or
gets
at
to
least
that.
6 episodes of that. It could
Like
have
it could have been
six
some
episodes.
more war, but I guess like they really did.
More war.
They really did end the season with like the Night King has broken the wall, the war has started.
Yeah.
Like, and I guess the previous season they did, but I really felt like in some of the past seasons they've really milked out some of the material.
They really built this world, and then them
they
to
just
sort of
snapped it
rush
shut.
through this last thing,
Yeah,
it seemed kind of lazy. And
like I said earlier, the Battle of the Bastards was by far the best big fight scene or war scene in any of the Game of Thrones, and they spent a shit ton more money. I guess this was the most expensive television war ever that they did with the whole King's Landing, right? And fuck that, I would rather watch like I said, I'd rather watch a big army go after each other because that's more entertaining and that's more.
I did think that like her burning like that was like a really interesting way. Like I really liked how it showed the brutality.
They showed how big
war.
King's Landing was too.
Yeah.
They're like, this is big.
Yeah, and there's
a
like
million people.
Yeah,
here.
exactly. There's a million people
She's
here.
just burned a million people.
And showing like I liked how like Arya was trying to be the hero and like saving those people just for them to end. They just get burnt anyways. Like I just like the realism that they built around that burning. And I know it's a dragon burning a city, but I like the real because they were kind of basing it on Dresden, like the firebombing of Dresden.
Are we missing a scene in this episode? Did Jon and Arya have a?
They did, but we did talk about it. Oh no,
didn't Jon and Arya have a talk before? In this as well?
Arya's like
before Tyrion.
On this episode, in the last episode, didn't they have a Jon and Arya?
They did. We talked about it because Arya and Tyrion was both sort of saying the same thing. She's gonna kill you because you're in the end you're fucking this. You're a Targaryen and you're in the way.
But she was still down there. She didn't go up north. I thought she took the horse and went somewhere else.
No. She was still there. Yeah, she was sort of just sneaking around the Unsullied as Dany was talking to everybody, doing her little.
But had they made it a whole season, they could have made that whole like burning down the city into like 2 episodes, right? And really dragged it out and really shown a lot more stuff and given you a lot more like intense.
It could have been
fight
2
scenes
seasons.
in there.
Yeah,
but you can't really do that when you just like try to stretch it out and it's like, oh wait, by the way, this thing's gonna fly around too.
It could have been at least like 4 more episodes this season. There could have been 10. There could have been 10 episodes.
Yeah,
this
a 10
season.
episode season I think would have been.
How many episodes are all the other seasons? I don't know.
10.
They're all 10, and this one was just
6.
short?
This one was 6.
That's
the last one was only
bullshit.
8.
Yes, the last one was 8, and this one was 6 because they had money. And
Well,
plus,
from what I understand, like the production costs on some of them were so ridiculous.
yeah,
so that's
of
why
course.
they wanted to keep it under a budget. They're like, well, we can do it in 6 HBO.
Right.
You know, HBO's like, oh, this is getting kind of spendy, guys.
It was like $300
I could see that
million
too.
worth of television this last season.
I
Which
could
is
see
crazy
I could
for a
see
fucking
that.
television.
like we've got all these other shows that we put millions of dollars in too, and we make some good money off of it too.
Westworld is pretty expensive.
Who's canceling their HBO membership now, though?
Not me.
For
I love
No,
HBO.
you guys love it?
Fuck
You guys
no.
still
I just want
love
you
it?
guys to know that I use Tansies.
Oh,
So
okay.
Adam Tansy, if you're
Yeah,
listening to this, thank you so much for letting me get that sweet hookup
Yeah, that is
on
a
your
sweet
HBO Go
That's
password.
Let's see. So is there anything else that we had to? Because I mean, I really did think that I laughed for at least a solid minute when they said that Jon Snow had to go be at the Night's Watch. I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. I LOL'd for at least 1 minute hard, like tearing up because I thought that was so fucking funny and so ridiculous.
So no, I think where. So Sansa's sitting as queen. Well,
She's queen.
Okay, what happens first though? Christopher Columbus sails west. I mean, Arya Stark
Yeah, and
flies
she goes-
west with her little fucking telescope and her
her
little
little
map
needle.
and her needle, and so she's a pirate now.
Yeah.
Well, she's got a whole crew.
She's got a whole
She
crew
did,
on a
yeah,
Stark
she-
ship.
She's got a whole
Yeah,
crew.
she is-
What do the Starks? I mean, they got ships evidently.
They got money. They got
Well,
money.
no,
They're-
She's
they're
a little
king.
lady.
She's a little lady. She gets whatever she wants.
She's the queen and Bran's
True.
the king, so
Maybe,
fucking
yeah.
they're loaded. I mean, they took all the fucking Bron's money that Cersei
Yeah,
gave them.
Brom
So-
had all those
She killed-
wheelbarrows of cash from
She
Cersei.
killed the Night King, so I mean everybody thinks like.
Oh, she's already a
remember
hero,
when they were
too.
walking down and they're like, wait, you guys gotta stop. You can't go any further. And the Hound was like, yeah, well that's Arya Stark. She killed the.
Yeah, she's gonna kill the queen.
She's gonna go kill the queen.
Yeah.
All right, well I have to go talk to my captain. He's like, tell him, and then
Yeah.
because she's so badass, she
They're
just
like,
like walks through everything.
Word spreads quick. You know, that's how. You
That
know.
might have been the case too, because I mean, like
She
the
got a whole
Hound is
crew.
known. Hound is
She's
very
got a
well
whole
known.
crew that just was like, this girl's a killer. I want to
fucking murder
be.
you.
I want to be like.
She'll
her.
wear your face and murder you.
Let's
with
like fucking learn as much as we can from this fucking crazy killer.
it. But
It's very rational though. Arya's very rational.
and I
She's
didn't
a Stark.
mind that
A lot
ending.
more rational than Sansa.
I thought that I thought that the ending.
She's the smartest girl I know.
I do like how they made them real close at the end. Like the
Yeah.
siblings came together and fucking stood by each other. That I like that. I can relate to that.
Even though
Something
growing
very
up,
poetic
Sansa
though. I mean,
was
remember they both
huge.
watched their dad get their head chopped off.
Yeah. Yeah, and they probably didn't even know they were both there at the same time, right? They didn't know.
No, they didn't know.
because Arya was escaped or something. But, so then,
But yeah, so Sansa gets to sit after like technically she's married to Tyrion Lannister.
still, right?
Still,
Yeah.
because she married him first, right?
No, she married Joffrey first. I thought. No.
No, they never got married.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because she married them. They married Sansa off to
she's-
Tyrion.
She's still married to Tyrion, technically.
But then she
Yeah,
married
she married him to
Littlefinger?
Tyrion, and then Joffrey was going to marry Natalie Dormer from wherever they're from. I can't even think of where they're from right now.
The tulip or the flower people.
Yeah, the flower people.
The flower
It's
people.
like a tulip, I think. I don't know.
So and then let's see.
I'm not good with flowers.
And then John at the end is seen walking out from the wall again, abandoning his oath
Yes.
from the Night Watch.
Was he abandoning his oath?
He does
or
what he
was
wants,
like,
man.
He
or
does
was
what he
just
wants.
like, does he come back and he's just like, well, I used to
Well-
lead this place, so I guess I'm back in charge again.
Let's
But,
not skip the fact of the reunion between Jon Snow and his dog.
Oh, the past.
Oh,
Ghost.
what about
Ghost
Ghost?
gets his
Ghost's
day.
fucking ear is off. Just so like. Just,
Everybody was so mad about Ghost not getting a goodbye, because remember when he
Well, he
said,
gets to live on with Jon up north where he belongs. That's where dire wolves belong. Maybe he'll go find himself a female dire wolf. You know what dogs be doing in the full moon?
Ghost
you
is
know.
the runt. Remember that? The only one that's left, and he
Ghost
was the runt. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have a runt.
Ben, he was the only one that made it. Oh,
Well, Arya's dog is still alive too.
oh yeah, but she sent it away.
Nymeria, yeah,
Oh,
she
yeah,
sent
she
him
said-
away.
That was another thing that
She had a
pissed me
whole
off this
pack of
whole
dogs.
series. Remember the dogs come back at a time, and she's like, "Oh shit, are you?" Well, I forget what her dog name is, and she's like, "Yeah," she's like, "Are you?" Blah blah, and the dog kind of looks at her, sniffs at her, and like other dogs are around her teeth, and then he like silences the other dogs, and then they leave forever. I was hoping that she'd just be in the woods sometime and like lose the upper hand, and then just a huge pack of
Yeah,
dogs are just
that
gonna
the dogs
maul.
would save something.
Come on,
They
come
never brought the
on.
pack of dogs back.
I wanna
Where's
see
the pack of dogs?
Where's the mauling, right?
Where's the mauling?
Or like maybe in the war against the dead, like wouldn't it have been poetic if the dogs were there too?
to fight the dead? Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
just Ghost was?
Yeah, just Ghost.
Just Ghost.
Ghost
All
is
the
a
other
champ.
dogs got
Yeah,
killed.
there were so many people who was upset about John not petting Ghost, but they got their pets. It was nice, and then they have the.
They had to take the puppies. They had to take the puppies back because that's their vigil. Their vigil.
These
is
people
the
know
dog-
that
is the
Ghost
wolf.
was a war dog. Was it like a?
They should have dressed him up like
It had
a
like
man.
half an ear. It wasn't
like a
like
house
it
dog.
wasn't a house dog. It was
Not a
like
lap
a
dog.
war dog. Right? You don't really pet those
I'm
dogs.
not gonna fetch your shoes.
Exactly.
Well, they never really got his size. They finally showed how big the dire wolves are in that
when
CGI.
he bent down. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
But
showed
they
it
get
a
way
little
bigger
bit.
than that,
They
though. He was
showed
the
it-
runt.
Yeah, he was a runt, but they showed it a little bit in the when Arya's up there because her dog was not a runt. It was just fucking massive.
Yeah.
And all the other dogs around it were massive.
What about the dire wolves?
Let's see. The last scene is John abandoning the oath and then walking by, and then they show spring is coming with the little growth of green coming out of the ground.
Yeah.
And so they're showing like a renew, and
But
John.
now King's dead now, so maybe it won't be so cold up there.
Yeah.
So you just gotta kill the Night King, like whenever he comes back to like make like spring happen again. Because I know their summers are like for years, right?
Are there any children of the forest left though?
Oh,
there might
did they
be.
all get
Did
killed
they,
off?
the last of them were
Oh,
in
they're
that
the only
cave.
ones
Yeah.
who can make it Night King.
Yeah.
aren't they? Oh, good.
So the Night King.
They got killed off, didn't they?
They had to have. And then I think John is the
Anything
last
that was
Targaryen.
alive up there, the Night King took.
Yeah.
That's what he basically did. He went through
Right.
and created his army,
Right.
and then to invade.
So it's probably just like pretty nice and peaceful up there.
bunch of
yeah.
giant, yeah,
quiet.
it's just nice.
Quiet. It's really quiet.
It's like UP with no people, you know.
Yeah. But I like the overall theme of how like the bastards and the fucking and the unsullied even and like the people who got cast aside, the bastards and the like Danny was exiled.
Yeah.
Jon was a bastard who was mistreated by his mom.
Just now.
Fucking
The
Tyrion was fucking a half man and called.
Brianna Tarth was
Brienne Tarth was so like Samwell was a coward at
Tarth
first.
didn't really have anything wrong with her. She was just
No,
like a
but
big
Bronn,
woman.
Master
But she
of
was a
Coin.
woman
She
who
was just
wanted
like
to be
big,
a knight.
Yeah, she's
That was what was wrong with her because women weren't usually knights.
Bronn had all Cersei's money. He had all the money.
But you know, like sort of all the people who sort of got shit on and all the people who kind of got dealt a bad hand sort of become the ones who are in power.
yeah.
And so like I like that like the underdogs all came out on top. I guess I mean it's one of those tropes that work. It's just. Okay, so that's the season. Fuck it. That was
It's
the
a series.
end.
That's a wrap,
That's
folks.
the series. And
But
go ahead.
the open endings for all those characters.
Yes.
Like you give it 5 years of people being hungry for more Game of Thrones. I wouldn't be surprised if they start like tossing in a Game of Thrones movie every once in a while, or
Well, that's what
something like that with the same actors and everything. Because you think, I mean, a lot of those
I don't know if
actors.
they'll get the same actors. Those guys can. See everybody. That's the problem with that stuff because
But they'll burn out. They're gonna have like a good
successful now. All those guys. Kit Harington can do anything he wants. Arya can just.
Yeah, but he's always going to be Jon Snow.
But that's okay because
Like
Jon
Michael
Snow's
Carell, or Steve Carell is always Michael Scott. Like,
Yeah, but he won't.
But he broke out of that.
Yeah,
he
he broke out of that.
He's doing dramatic growth, and Jon Snow.
I'm just saying,
is
there's
a
gonna be some money
warrior
thrown
who's
at him.
drama, and like he could go either way. He can do whatever.
He's
I
gonna be
think.
like
I'm
the
just
next
saying.
dude in the Notebook.
My
Who's
prediction
that
is
guy?
think about all the open endings here.
Yes.
You could have a whole series.
Yeah, let's
now.
talk about like what you think the characters are gonna kind of.
There could be like a whole show like Game of Thrones, Arya's adventure, and it'd be like a whole mini series or
Yeah,
whatever the
a
fuck
movie.
they wanted to do with it.
Well, George R.R. Martin's blog, he just responded to the ending, and he was saying that he has 3 or 5 productions in production right now. 3 or 5 projects in production. One's on Hulu. One's gonna be on HBO again, and then some other shit. But so like there are things, and he did even say he is said to want to explore Arya and what she is doing. So he is noted saying, like quoted,
I think Arya's will be the first one we see.
Yeah,
which would be cool because I would like to know.
and I'm watching it.
Yeah, we're gonna watch them all.
We're gonna watch them all.
Here's the thing.
Whatever you make.
I
we'll
was
watch
okay.
it.
So
You make
like,
it, I watch it.
so like, okay. So what do you think? What do you think? On pick maybe 1 or 2 characters that you think is what you think that maybe they are gonna go on and do, or maybe.
Go ahead, Zach.
Go ahead.
Oh, I don't have any predictions for. I mean, I don't know anything of the world or what could come of it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, what do you think? Okay, what would you think that? I mean, you were already saying that Arya kind of turned into a pirate.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Arya's
just
a
what we saw.
pirate. She
She's
just
a pirate.
goes
She's
and
gonna go sail
pillages.
off. I bet Sansa will piss somebody off because that's just seems to be her nature, and she's
rude,
got
yeah.
all these. She's got all this thing, like, all these people.
She should have been the Ice Queen.
She might be. She might turn into an ice queen. I don't know.
I mean, I think they're still gonna have to have relations. Like Jon Snow's at Castle Black, and I think that's a story that
What
could
are
be
they
wide
gonna
open
talk
with
to
Jon
Jon
Snow
Snow
in the real North now.
Yeah.
Jon Snow in the North and ruling because they're all them wildlings. Jon Snow's a huge war hero. They all been
that's
through
true.
battle
Ooh,
with
I
him
got a good
through multiple
prediction.
battles, and he's always
Yeah.
never he's that's earns huge respect in those type of time frames and stuff, like
Yeah.
to be a war hero, which again doesn't make sense that he didn't end up sitting on the Iron Throne.
Yeah, I know.
But I understand, like
It doesn't-
I understand that since because he killed what was their queen, then he's an usurper.
Yeah.
So that and he doesn't want it. He never wanted
Right.
to be that. He. I don't know. So, but it still does hurt a little bit that Jon Snow didn't. But I guess that's too.
I bet
Again,
that
that's too
Jon Snow's
safe.
gonna be friends with all the wildlings, right? And be like, "Oh, this is great. We're living all free right here." Blah blah. Then Sansa's gonna be like, "Fuck you. I'm the queen of everything."
No,
I'm the
in
queen
I
of
don't
the
think
true
so.
North
And
too,
then
bitch.
she's gonna be rolling down. You gotta get these people in line, and then he's gonna fight for the people because I love the wildlings.
Well, I mean, the wildlings did name a king at one point. Mance Rayder was the king.
Yeah,
king
they
in
made
the,
him the king, didn't they?
king of
after
king
Mance
north of the wall.
right?
That's right.
Mance Rayder was.
Mance
So
Rayder.
the wildlings do have the ability
They will put someone in charge.
Right?
I was
There's no giants left though and shit, man.
I know,
Come
well,
on.
no,
Who knows what Ari's gonna
But
go
there's
find?
plenty
She might
of-
find lizard people. We don't know what they're
Lizard
gonna
people.
write.
Right,
Cool.
there's
That'd be
plenty of
cool.
magic and crazy shit out
What if
there.
it's like
Well,
she
they
goes
friendly
west
lizard
and she's
people.
like, all of a sudden she's in Manhattan?
like this is, That would be so.
It's like Crocodile Arya in New York.
She's just chain smoking and working as like a waitress somewhere.
I used to be a queen. Or
I
princess.
used to be an assassin.
Ma'am, you can't. You can't have that big old knife in here. All right. It's just a needle.
I can take your face.
I can take your.
Now, but who knows what she's gonna go get herself
Yeah,
into?
but
That could again. I think that's set up.
I'm running the fuck away.
Listen, if Kit Harington's acting career doesn't take off and he's the next big thing,
He is.
I'm gonna give it 5 years, man, and then people are gonna be demanding some more Jon Snow.
We need Jon Snow. Well, I was thinking because Jon Snow is the last Targaryen, technically, that if he, in his travels or whatever, if shit goes down where they do need a dragon again, maybe he goes and looks
There's
for the
still
dragon.
a dragon in the world.
Still a dragon, and he's still Valyrian blood, or Targaryen blood. He still has blood of the dragon, and he's ridden fucking dragons before.
Dragons don't go north, though.
They don't. They don't like the north, huh?
No.
That's right. Their dragons were
Can't
pissed.
Targaryens not like get burned too?
Huh?
Can't Targaryens not get burned too?
Yeah, which callback? Jon
Wouldn't
Snow
it been
got
cool?
burned at
Yeah.
Castle Black the one time.
Yeah, wouldn't it have been cool if like the
So,
dragon tried to
Fail.
melt the chair, and then he's like tried to melt Jon Snow, and Jon Snow's like, "Oh, I'm
good.
Targaryen.
Sorry,
I'm good.
bro."
Sorry, bro."
Yeah.
And then he just like rode the dragon.
So, does that mean the Night King was part Targaryen?
No, he's just magic,
He's just magic.
He's just ice magic,
He's
bro.
just ice magic. That was sort of my only prediction. I mean, like, to be honest, I feel like when like reading Fire and Blood right now, since I'm reading that, like anytime there's a power shift, there's always like a fight for it. Like especially when there's no like successor no successor named, there's always like some fucked up thing, and so like for this great council to come together and just pick Bran and then be like okay with it, I thought that was kind of ridiculous, and I just feel like that would be cause for more war. Like someone is out there being like, fuck that, I'm gonna take broken ass Bran, kick him out of his wheelchair, and fucking take his little wheel throne, and like I just see it.
But he can
for
make
more
them do
call
whatever
for
he
war.
wants, which he can make them do whatever.
Yeah,
But Bran let all that stuff happen, though. You know?
Yeah. Does the next person have to use the wheelchair?
But
Yes,
if he
that's
wargs into people, but that's the thing. If he wargs into people, they go crazy because they remember it all.
Somebody's coming after you. Ward into him. Come on, Bran. Come on.
That's what I'm saying. He can if he needs to.
He can if he needs to, but you were saying also like maybe he needs the wear tree, so maybe his powers are a little less.
But he's already seen everything.
So he already knows.
Because remember, he spent all that time up in Winterfell,
just sitting there,
like logging on, like watching all the sex that's ever happened.
That's all he was doing.
That's he was a young man. Maybe it did work. Maybe it did work.
History Pornhub.
That's
He was
why
just going through
like that. He's got a broken dick.
Oh, yeah,
and
there
he's
we
like,
go.
I've
One more
seen
time.
all the porn in the world, but I can't do anything about it.
That's
I've
the real
literally seen. I mean,
Iron
honestly,
Throne.
like. I mean, think about it. I mean, they didn't have tablets back then. Like, you're a young man, you're 13, and you can just go back in history and watch every sex that's ever happened.
Reality.
Yeah,
It's not a back
we don't know.
situation.
And Jamie
It
and
is.
Cersei are hot. It doesn't matter if they're fucking sister, brother, or sister. He could have just, he can replay that over and over again. Because he did come in, he was like smacking it from
Well, no,
behind.
he can
remember?
watch anybody.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just
Anywhere.
saying, like, there are, like.
Yeah, he was laying the
Oh,
pipe to
yeah,
his
when he,
sister.
when he was
Yeah.
watching Jamie just lay some pipe.
Yeah,
right
it's
into his
like
sister, and he got pushed
that's
out.
like a direct memory too. So like,
Yeah.
he has his spank bank is full. It's there's a lot of deposits
And there
in
was
the
a long
spank
time
bank.
What's
before
after a
he-
terabyte?
Another terabyte.
Terabyte.
What is after a terabyte?
It's something.
A pair
Like a
parasite.
septabyte or something.
Septabyte.
No, it has a really long name.
Yeah, it is.
So then overall,
What about you, Mike? What do you think? Like, what are your predictions, like post show?
well,
let me ask
that's
you
what I
some
was saying.
questions here.
Sure.
Question asker, man.
I was just trying to sort of direct it. We can go wherever.
But no, what about you? What do you think?
Well, like I said, what I was saying, I was like, to me, it just seems like just reading back through the history of Westeros and just seeing how the power sort of shifts and how people always make hard plays for the throne when in those moments when power is being passed. I just feel like that great council. I mean, whatever they may have said there. I feel like they would have went back to their kingdoms and then been like, this is bullshit. The North is free and we have to fucking still pay taxes to this fucking broken ass king.
Whoremonger trying to build brothels and stuff
Yeah,
already.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like the whoremongers are building more brothels.
Let's not hate on the sex workers, man. You know those girls got.
I
sex
don't
workers
hate
are
on
people
sex
too.
work. I don't
sex
hate
workers
on
are
them.
people too. You know.
No, and
especially in Westeros.
I really do think that
it's a very important part of their society.
Well, I think that even fucking brothels would be okay fucking now in real life because, like, if we regulate it, we can control, keep women safe, keep the John safe, keep diseases from
Vote
spreading.
yes on issue 7.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Issue 7. Bring more whorehouses to Ohio.
I don't know if that's a real issue, but yeah.
Issue 7.
Oh my God.
Legalize whorehouses. But yeah, I just think that I feel like All Out War would have just continued for the throne. I just see a very broken kingdom. You know, just very like everybody's in disarray. Fucking, you know, dragons just took out. Like, I just don't see it going forward in a peaceful manner.
And it was your brother who was the king. Like, if you can't kneel for anybody, you can't kneel. Like, out of everybody in the world, like, it should be your blood should be the easiest thing to be like, well, it's cool, guys in the north, because we're still, like, you know, number one, because Bran's our king now.
Yeah.
And, you
Like,
know,
wouldn't it seem like the Vale would hail to the north?
the Vale does hail to the north.
Yeah,
because
But no, they're part of the 6 kingdoms, though. The Vale didn't leave.
So the veil, and
well, they're friends with all the Starks because
They're all friendly now,
isn't that
but
one kid,
but the
a
north
Stark
is the
cousin?
north.
the Robin.
Yeah,
Sweet
Robin
Robin's-
Aaron
Robin's
is
a Stark.
Caitlyn Stark's
Yeah.
sister's
son.
So he sounds like
And he grew
They're
up
cousins.
nice.
They're
He-
cousins.
and he was part of the Great Council.
Yeah, they showed him at the end. He
looks
wasn't
nice.
such a snively little
He's a
wiener.
little bitch.
Yeah,
He's
he's a
like,
little
let me get a sword. Let me
Robin
get
Aaron
back at him. take
had a
it
little.
down.
He was all grown up and
Yeah.
stuff.
Make him fly, mommy. I want to see him fly.
And he, was
He had
just
a messed
sucking
up
on her
life,
teeth.
right?
That was That was tight.
He's like 8 years old.
Oh, I
just
forgot
sucking on
about
the
that.
teeth.
Yeah, still milking.
Yeah.
Still
Shit creeps me out.
Bring in the milkmaids.
She had him. She had him all fucked
How'd
up.
she stay so
did.
juicy for so long? Ooh.
You just gotta keep it going.
Yeah, if you keep it going.
Oh, you
you
just
have
keep
to.
it going?
It
Yeah.
just stays going.
The more you know.
It doesn't run out.
It doesn't run. Yeah, if you have them going, they'll just keep going.
Why don't you just keep it going? You know, you get free food for.
Because they do want to eat other things. As
It's
well.
like really like salty. It's like I don't know. It's really weird.
It
making.
was- I
cheese,
thought it was
yogurt,
sweet. It was
ice
very
cream,
sweet.
butter.
I don't know if I should say this onto
Oh.
Mike. Oh, hey, sorry about that. I don't know if I should say this, but I have tasted my sister's breast milk and also my wife's breast
Yeah,
milk.
so have I.
He's
I have
like,
also
yeah, so
tasted
the
your.
second
Hey, listen,
one was
Mike.
more
I've already tasted your
normal.
sister's breast milk and
The
your wife's
first one
breast
was.
milk.
I don't think anyone needed to know that.
No, and it felt gross coming out. But can I just say that it was totally an accident that my sister used to store her milk in fucking milk cartons and shit. And fucking, which is so gross now that I think about how we stored our milk. It was very sterile. Everything
Eggs,
was
like
everything was separate.
frozen. You got to freeze
We
it to
weren't
keep
cleaning
stock.
out old milk bottles and just throwing titty milk in there. We took very great care. So it just shows how out of it we were. But I accidentally just drank out of the bottle like blunk blunk blunk. I was just like, oh, and I was young. My sister was
Ace
young. when she was
Ventura in
like-
the shower.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, it was so gross. It was just the idea, but the milk wasn't bad.
Label everything in the fridge. This is pet peeve of mine. Just label everything in the fridge.
Just let me know what it
You
is
put
or
something
whose
in a
it is.
mystery container. You know what's more frustrating?
Why are we talking about boob milk right now? How do we
Because
even get into this?
fucking Prince from the Vale.
Oh, he sucked on the tit for
yeah,
all
he
that
was
time.
titty-
Robin Aaron. That's
Robin
right.
Aaron. Yeah, I just see more war, and I don't really see it. And so, like, what do you guys think of the overall arc of, like, the last season? I know we kind of been talking about this whole time how much we weren't happy, but what do you think? Just sort of wrap things up a little.
I mean, honestly, like watching it for years, like I am envious now of people who just now are gonna be like, you know what? I think I'm gonna watch this Game of Thrones show.
Because they can watch it all the way through.
Yes, now they can just shred from the
Yeah.
beginning to the end. They don't have to wait a year and a fucking half for 6 motherfucking episodes. That's, I think, why the people that have been watching it are so salty, because we waited a year and a half for these 6 episodes for this to kill it all quick.
On the plus side,
but now people coming in and watching it now, they're just get this shred from top to bottom.
They can be disappointed all at once.
on the plus side, I got my
because they're going
Sundays
right from the
back.
wall. They're going right from the wall
straight into.
It's just basically like an extra long last season. You know?
Yeah,
what
I
mean?
guess I could see how that would be. That could tie in together a little better if you're watching it all at once, and so you sort of see these like arcs sort of take shape over one sitting instead of waiting a year and a half and being like, what the fuck just happened? And if you're not, the payoff wasn't there for the fans who've been with the show since the beginning or whenever they jumped on. But like for the fans who've been with the show for a long time, and even the fans who loved the books before the show. Wow, Zach, you are out of control.
Sorry, man, I do.
Do you have to wipe?
No.
You have to poop?
Get out of here, dog.
Get
dog.
wipe?
Oh, go on, Loki.
That
Get.
Don't blame
a
the
stinking dog. Sorry. I slipped out.
That's okay. It's fine. So what was your guys' overall feeling of this last thing? I know you're saying that to watch it all at once, maybe that would
be
maybe
and that's kind of my takeaway is like you think about like they probably just didn't have two 10 season episodes, so like they're like, well, we don't want to do 2 7-episode seasons or whatever, so they did an 8 and they did a 6. But like the people that are watching it now will have a whole different way of viewing it.
Yeah,
you know, they'll get to go right from the wall getting broken down into boom right into it, and they'll be able to just tap it off quick.
Yeah,
and I think it was the year and a half wait that fucking made that's why everybody's so fucking pissy about it.
I think it was more than a year and a half. I mean, I've been watching that show since before I knew you, you know?
Yeah.
I've been watching that show every fucking Sunday when it would come on. And
I basically started watching Game of Thrones when I met Zach.
When we had
I just started watching it because Chad watched it as well,
watched
too.
it, and we were both really into it. We were like, oh, Jason, you got to watch this show. It's amazing. There's so many tits, and there's so much fighting, and you're going to love it.
And I shredded through like 4 seasons or something.
Yeah. Right, and it's a great show, but, you know...
we've known each other for 4 or 5...
I watched it for every Sunday when it was on, you know, and I'd have people over my house for years now. And now that it's just like with the whole last season, how it ended and everything, it was disappointing just because I thought and I'd spent so much time and, you know, I'd invested so much into the show.
And waited year
I
and a
had
half.
wings every Sunday. I had pizza every Sunday. Beer,
but, you know,
pizza,
and that's
party.
okay. I think about that. That's okay because that's how I felt at like pretty much the end of any show. Like I remember watching Parks and Recreation when it first came out. And when it ended, I was really invested in that show, as dumb as that sounds.
No, I was too.
I was bummed that Leslie Knope is over. She's moving on. She doesn't exist anymore, right? Whatever.
I haven't watched it. I'm plugging my ears now.
I can't watch that show
all I'm gonna
anymore.
say about it.
When Parks and Rec was out, I loved that show, and now I went back to watch it again. I can't fucking stand it. I think it's so stupid.
I watched The Office over and over and over.
We just watched The Office again.
I can't believe how many.
It's so good.
I guess I was just going to be let down no matter what, though. Is what I'm trying to say. The only way I would have liked it is if Game of Thrones had just gone on forever.
Yeah, just keep going forever.
It's going to, though. I guarantee
it.
These stories are going to keep coming. Like, you guarantee there's too much money to be made. HBO's gonna hope they don't fuck it up like Star Wars has been getting kind of fucked up. But let me tell you about something real quick about Star Wars. I enjoy every movie that they make. I don't get out much, so
don't like the new Star Wars.
You know, I enjoy it. I'm like, oh, cool. It's still like a story.
I can look past all the bullshit because of the history I have with it, and that's where I'm at with Game of Thrones. It's like I'm gonna look past all this bullshit because they've served us so much good shit.
Yeah.
Like it's so good, and even if those scenes, the last 6 episodes were fucking kind of ridiculous, the cinematography was amazing. There were some great moments. There were some payoffs, but at the end of the day, it was
there was some Starbucks left in the
there
shots.
was some Starbucks.
There was a water bottle left in a shot.
But to see how much kind of went on, but then there's that. The producers have the trilogy. They're going to be doing the Luke Skywalker trilogy. So they have that in production right now. So they've got their plates full.
Wait, they're redoing...
They're doing the Luke Skywalker trilogy. D.B. Weiss and...
what does that mean? Like the original Star Wars?
No, they're going to just do something on Luke Skywalker. It's going to be a trilogy of just Luke Skywalker.
Have they seen the original Star Wars? Because they do a pretty good job of talking
It's pretty
about
short,
Luke.
too, though.
Yeah, but...
I mean, let's be honest. They could have made a 10-episode series out of the first Star Wars.
They could have. But
anyway,
I'm saying, just all those little things that sort of fell through the cracks.
Yeah.
it kind of does reflect on maybe they did have too much on their plate. Maybe there was a lot going on. Maybe there was a lot of money restrictions. I don't see how that's the best show in television history. In HBO history, it's made them the most money.
But
most
look at so much
pirated.
work, you know. I mean,
Of course.
there's so much work
Of
involved in
course,
all that.
there's-
Like,
Oz was more groundbreaking. No, I'm just kidding.
I couldn't get through Oz. Or what was the other one? The one that took place in Baltimore.
Yeah.
The Wire.
The Wire.
I couldn't get through.
You
those
can't get
seasons
through The
either.
Wire?
No, I couldn't get through them. I just couldn't.
It was good when it came on. But, like, I don't know, HBO and Showtime, they've done this to me a couple times. Remember Sopranos?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, how
Sopranos
that
ends
ended.
the fucking shittiest way in the
Yeah,
world.
of course.
Blank screen. Does he live or does he die? No, fuck you. Just end the story, right?
Yeah,
And everyone's
we just
like,
wanna know.
well, it's a great way to end it, right? And I guess, again,
Open-ended
I
on the
don't
run.
like
Like-
endings because I invest so much time in these shows and I feel so much connection to the
Yeah.
characters. And, you know, I really like Arya Stark. She's probably my favorite character in the whole thing. I really wanted to see her go on.
so how awkward did you get
When
she
the
took
child
when
had
the-
sex.
when the
Oh my
when
God.
Arya Stark, who's a grown woman now, you know,
She's
she's
a grown
over.
woman.
You know,
in the show,
It
it
wasn't
doesn't feel
hot at all.
in the
it
show.
was so. I felt weird. I was like, oh.
Yeah, this isn't good.
I looked away. I was like, I was like, no. Side boob, a
Not
little
good.
bit of butt
yeah,
crack.
it wasn't even. I
was
was just like,
awkward.
this is not sexy, but okay.
Yeah, I guess if she's a grown woman, that's fine. Yeah, in the show, it appears that she's like 16 or 17 to me.
Well,
That's what I got.
I think
from
at
her
the start
growing up.
of in the books, she's like 10 years old.
Oh, really?
So if like, you know,
I mean, 8 years have gone past.
More than that. I don't think they really.
It's just I don't know.
It takes so long to travel in Westeros. The
I
time
know.
goes by so much.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That would be kind of convenient if you're like, well, I got to go to Cleveland next week. It's gonna take me 3 weeks to get
I'll
there.
see you in 3
Have
weeks.
a 3-week road
That'd
trip.
be kind of nice, you know. You get 3 weeks to yourself, just on the road, your buggy and your horse.
No
you
wonder
know.
people died so young. It took so long to get
You
everywhere.
played Oregon Trail. You know the river. You got to risk it sometimes.
You do. You gotta take a risk. You can't fucking can't get anywhere in life if you're not gonna take a
Lost
risk.
all your oxen.
Yeah, the just the overall arc of the last season I just thought was kind of lazy, and when you brought up the water bottle and the Starbucks thing, it in this moment I'm realizing like, fuck, dude, it does seem like a lot kind of slipped through the cracks.
Yeah.
And I know that was a huge undertaking to do that season, and you know. It just, like, all the actors and the crew, like, everyone involved, I thought did great. Visuals were wonderful. Like, it was so good. It's just,
Yeah, the
like,
actors are phenomenal.
it was
the
just
actors
the
did a great
writing
job.
kind of fucking just fell
Well,
flat.
I heard
That's
that
'cause George R. R.
Railroad
Martin didn't have as much.
Right.
Yeah, he had a lot
Right.
more ghostwriters, a lot more HBO ghostwriters, and they just took it in ways. That's why I think
He
we
basically
saw
told him,
something that,
"This
like,
is the basic
Jon
plot
Snow's going to
outline."
stab him
Right.
through this way in the most, Machiavellian way possible ever, and they're not going to show any
Basically,
blood.
there were certain plot points that they had to hit.
Mhm.
You know, he basically laid it out. This is how it ends,
Right.
and this is how you get there. Like, okay, and then he sold it to him. You
And
know,
it's like, yeah. And then, but,
for a lot of money.
but,
a
and
lot of money.
that kind of sucks. And what George R. R. Martin was saying in his latest blog, he was also saying
He still
that,
gets to write the books though,
yeah.
and
he's-
we're all gonna read them.
Yeah, of course. We're going to read them. We're going to watch all the fucking prequels, no matter how
going
terrible
to.
we think. Yeah. don't
I
give a
gotta
fuck.
now I can go back into the books now and like get the
Yeah.
full deal. And like I'm really hoping that he finishes this off because he got to think there's a book and then it's completely different. Like
Yeah.
Caitlin Stark, like you said, there's a
Right.
bunch of characters that they really dive into in the books that
don't even make it into the fucking show.
right.
And
But now we know how it ends though. But we want to see how he tells the story.
right,
I think.
and he was even saying that his medium is way different from what the TV show medium is. He's gonna have the time, he's gonna have the space and the time and the money because it doesn't cost anything.
It's
to tip your
imagination.
fucking-
There's
yeah.
an unlimited budget.
He can fucking just sit there and
It's just
really
his
work
time,
it out
yeah.
and see it. So I'm a little more excited for the books in this aspect than I am about the whole overall arc of the last season, the last
Sure.
couple seasons.
Well, and the franchise of that's going to be Game of Thrones because it's going to, it's definitely franchisable. You know,
of
there's
course.
going to be more spin-offs. We'll see how the spin-offs go,
Oh, yeah.
and they're definitely going to, HBO is going to capitalize off of.
Well, you guys made me feel better now about these spin-offs,
Well, the one that's supposed to be, I think the working title now is it Moonblood or Blood Moon or something, which they say in the books when they say blood moon, they're referring to a woman's blood moon. They're referring to her period.
Yeah.
So like that's what I thought at first, but there's some other
That's like a really old medieval term. The blood moon and stuff like that.
Yeah, harvest moon, right?
Harvest moon is just
farming thing.
that's just a moon that's really bright out, and they make they
was
made
red,
the slaves work all night. That was a harvest moon.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Now.
Yeah.
Great.
Not a great thing. The harvest moon.
No, the harvest moon sucked. Oh well, I guess that's that. That is the. You guys want to add anything to that? We are an hour and 42 minute deep into
Railroad.
this.
If you'd like to come hang out with us, you know.
Do you want to come on my podcast?
You're welcome to be on this podcast. I'm sure.
We actually have this Wednesday night hookup where me and Railroad and my dad hang out, and we go to the batting cage.
We smoke a little pot.
That'd be cool.
Talk about the dead.
He really likes the batting cages
I
too.
wish I lived in California,
you don't, man.
Southern California.
Yeah, I do. I wish I lived.
You gotta have the money to live there.
Yeah, I guess.
The
We're
money.
off topic. I don't know.
The money is what.
I'd rather live in Oregon if I had the money.
Yeah, Pacific Northwest is amazing. Okay, so if nobody has anything to add,
Nothing.
What was that last question? I didn't answer the last question.
Oh no! Do you guys want to add anything about this last season?
Jason's got
So if you've made it this far with us, thank you, folks. My name is Jason T. Black. I'm going to use this opportunity to promote my YouTube channel. Follow me on YouTube, Jason T. Black. That's all you got to put in. I've got some pretty good videos. My wife and I make music videos down here, by the way, in the Black Cave at House Black. Mike's at my house here, you know.
Black.
If you want to see some of the YouTube videos we make down here, we have a good time, and we're getting pretty artsy with some of the videos, and
the last
having fun.
The one that I like what you did with the Comfortably Numb. That was very nice.
Well, I haven't made the video of that yet, but I do.
No, I know, but I like the music because you sent me the music. His
I ended
wife
up having to put
does
the drum. I put the drum tracks down to that.
Oh, you did it yourself?
I did it with the keyboard drums because
Drew was like, I'm not gonna do that.
Well, I get it. It's it's hard for him maybe to.
It's hard to lay down drum tracks in the first place, setting up all your mics. But I thought you had it all set up. You know what, Drew? Stop being a lazy bitch.
And on that note, we're out.
All right, guys. I'll see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed this bonus episode. The Game of Thrones. What are we gonna name it? Game of Thrones.
Listen to it like this, dude.
All right, bye.